What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
1AC. Chapter 1 Wandering Babies, Heaven-Defying Understanding. Advertise here. America, 8th Avenue and 34th Street, New York. The alleys extending in all directions are a good place to escape and are also a feature of Hell's Kitchen. At a corner, Ailey looked around in a daze. I just was wrong, rolled his eyes and soon saw his hands. Pink and tender, meaty, very cute. But the key is that this hand is a baby's hand. Become a baby yourself. Could it be that he was reborn to the time when he was just born, so he had to do it again? Here is the street. Am I abandoned? My mother said that I was picked up from a garbage dump when I was a child, but it is true. So, when will my mother come to pick me up? If you don't come again, you will starve to death. You have traveled to the Marvel world, because this time you have penetrated the original barrier. The Mother of the Earth gave you a gift in the previous life, and you have gained endless understand term, so his time travel is still related to the novel that he complained about. It was thrown directly into the Marvel. Ailey is a little distressed, he is a baby now and can't walk at all. Looking at the surrounding environment, it is obviously adjacent to the roadside of the main road, but the environment is dirty and messy. It must not be very safe. Just when he was worried that he would die before he left the school, a series of footsteps sounded. When Ailey heard the movement, his mind moved, and he had a solution. He hurriedly lifted his neck and began to cry. Wow 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 wow. The cry of the baby instantly resounded all around, turning into a bright light in the endless night, attracting a lot of attention. Surprisingly, the sound of footsteps was not moved. The other footsteps around are the other party's attendants, each in a suit, actively guarding the surroundings, but they don't even look at the baby. Until a blonde woman looked at him with an expression of hesitation. There's drama. Ailey immediately continued to cry after realizing this. Sure enough, the woman couldn't be. The main reason is that Vanessa has no children yet, so today she pestered her husband to accompany her to pray and pray. But I didn't expect to meet this baby on the way home now, and subconsciously thought of today's prayer. Standing is penetrating the language, and you have mastered English perfectly on the basis of your previous life. Close black lens bracket. Hearing the woman's words, Ailey found that he understood the other party's words. This is a standard foreign language, and he actually understood it completely. This heaven-defying comprehension is really useful. Understanding the woman's guess, Ailey tilted her head and leaned on the other side very cooperatively, looking like a good baby. Sure enough, Vanessa was very pleased with the other party's attitude, and turned to look at her husband. Fisk, what do you think of us adopting him? The man frowned when he heard this, because he noticed that the baby was of Chinese descent. This doesn't seem to be suitable for them to adopt, after all, both of them are authentic New Yorkers. Isn't it weird to adopt a Chinese American? Ailey understood that the decision was not up to the woman, but to her husband, so she looked hard at the man for a moment. In a white suit, with a bloated figure, he looks like that kind of fat person. But the height is really high, maybe about 2 meters. In this way, Dashi Johnson is several layers weaker in front of him. Moreover, the image of the other party is also very domineering. Observing him with a calm expression on his face makes people feel extremely cold. A pair of eyes seem to have countless stories, exuding brilliance and wisdom. At this time, Ailey noticed that the other party's neck was protruding. He thought the other party was a bloated person, but he found that the other party's neck muscles were extremely obvious. This is not the case for fat people, which means that the opponent's huge amounts of body shape are not due to obesity at all, but are all muscles. Another possibility is that the other party is a racing driver who specializes in neck training. Look, he's not afraid of you, he's also very curious about you. He really fits. Vanessa noticed that Ailey saw this in his wife's words, and there was approval in his eyes. Okay, it's a good match. So he just passed by and heard the baby crying and didn't care at all. Now the other party is not afraid of him and is still very curious, which really makes him feel better. Vanessa happily hugged Ailey and walked towards the extended rolls on the side of the road, muttering in her mouth. From now on, you will be a member of our family. Your mother will be me, Vanessa Fisk. Your father will be him, Wilson Fisk. Jin Bin, let's call it this. Jin Bin said on the sofa in the car facing each other. Jin is not his changed name, which he prefers. After learning that her adoptive father is Jin Bing, Ailey's first thought was how cool it is. No one wants to live a miserable life after being reborn, hungry and full, right? No matter how you say it, Jin Bin is also the underground emperor of New York, and his life can definitely be said to be worry-free. Isn't it good to just rush at this point? A few months passed, and Ailey also adapted to the life here. Definitely the most is his adoptive mother and nanny to take care of him. Most of the time, Ailey is asleep, because this is a baby's necessary growth path. But when he is awake, he can't let time go by in a daze like a baby. So he began to study his own heaven-defying understanding. Taking advantage of these months of waking up to study, I finally got some results. With your belief in studying the mysteries of your own body, you have an epiphany. Created the breathing method. Chapter 2 Cell Forging Method, the birth of S-cells. Advertise here. It's finally done. Ailey knows that his breathing method must not be perfect now. It can only be regarded as an advanced technique, but it is also very good. I hurriedly started to practice according to the method I thought. Breathing slowly slows down, and the gas swallowed and exhaled between each breath will swim around in one's body. The walking route is a bit like Little Joe Tien in a martial arts novel. In fact, the most important thing is your heart and lung function. It seems that he slowed down his breathing rate, but the amount of oxygen he inhaled increased a lot each time. Ai Li can clearly feel that her cardiopulmonary ability is being strengthened. Level 1 is enough, and it is enough to lay a solid foundation for yourself. Feeling his own body, Ai Li stopped comprehending the breathing method very contentedly. Excessive practice will only lead to deformities in one's physical development, and one may become a giant in the growth stage. The first thing that comes to mind is his adoptive father, Jin Bin, with his tall, seemingly bloated body. Although full of power, it doesn't quite fit Alan's aesthetics. Thinking of becoming the second Jin Bin, Ai Li couldn't help shivering, and stopped thinking about exercising his body immediately. For several months, Ai Li has been relying on breathing techniques to improve his physical foundation. Only with a good foundation can the growth potential be higher. During this period of time, his performance has also attracted attention. Under normal circumstances, there is almost no noise, which makes Vanessa like him even more. After all, I always heard that babies are difficult to take care of when they are young. Vanessa was still a little worried, so she asked 3 nannies to follow her. Now that she can take care of her alone, she naturally feels that Ai Li will definitely be a very obedient child in the future. After telling this to her husband, Jin Bing also expressed his liking with relief. Then seeing the situation of Ai Li, Jin Bin showed a look of surprise in his eyes. This child will definitely not be ordinary in the future. Jin is not an ordinary person, his vision is definitely vicious. In Ai Li, he saw the other party's ability, an ability that can be cultivated. That's definitely, he's my child and yours. Vanessa replied bluntly, not knowing what her husband was thinking. Ai Li just smiled at the two of them, and continued to look at the moon in the sky. In the past few months, he has been feeling the moonlight, especially the light reflected from the moon by the sun, feeling it carefully. At first he wanted to feel from the sun. After all, it is good to bask in the sun more, and everyone understands this truth. And when you come to the Marvel Universe, you have to think of DC, Superman can draw power from the sun, and he wants to try it too. But unfortunately, a baby's body can't withstand the sun for too long. Vanessa and the nanny stared very closely during the day and didn't let him continue to bask in the sun. At most 2 hours a day, too short. And moonlight, no one cares. Ai Li struggles to open the curtains most of the time, and then crawls under the moonlight to feel the soft light. This kind of soft moonlight will not cause any harm to his body, but instead makes Ai Li feel comfortable. If this goes on, I won't come up with a werewolf cultivation method, will I? Ai Li guessed suspiciously. After all, werewolves are associated with the full moon. Open black lens bracket. You have studied the relationship between the human body and the moon for a long time, and with the cooperation of the breathing method, you have discovered the difference in the color of the moon, and created the moon breathing method, close black lens bracket. Moon breathing method. Ingesting the light of the moon through breathing, the body can get more energy supplements and increase the vitality of the spirit. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You feel the particularity of Brut's wave from the moonlight, and the Brut's spectrum strengthens the activity of your body cells. You have an epiphany. Created the cell forging method. Cell forging method. Brut's waves extended from the reflected light waves of the moon can enhance your cell activity and enhance the S cells in your cells. Close black lens bracket. S cells. Ai Li felt the changes in her body, and was attracted by this name. My own subconscious defines this thing as an S cell, which seems quite appropriate. But this thing seems to be owned by the Saiyans in the previous life, why would I be partial to this? Could it be that he also wants to be a Saiyan in his heart? Thinking of whether it is Kakarot, Vegeta, or Broly in the animation, Ai Li is a little excited for a moment. Who didn't want to be a Saiyan when they were young, and who wouldn't know how to move Kameha Qigong wave? Although I didn't take the initiative to develop in this direction, but my subconscious, or inner desire is this. Saiyan, Super Saiyan. Ai Li looks up at the moon, maybe this is the way to improve himself. But I don't want to be an ape, let alone a tail or something. Saiyans are a kind of blood after all. I just rely on my understanding to find the cultivation method. I don't know if I can succeed. Since Ai Li started cultivating the S cells in his body, his appetite has also increased a lot. At 8 months, other children drank 3 or 4 meals of milk a day, each meal was about 200 milliliters. And Ai Li is 5 or 6 times a day, every meal less than 400 milliliters will appear hunger. This is the extent of adding 2 bowls of rice noodles at noon. Vanessa has been anxious about this for a long time, worrying whether Ai Li has a physical problem. In a hurry, they found Kim and contacted their personal doctor. Jin Bin was shocked after seeing the test results, staring at Ai Li as if looking at a treasure. And since then, Ai Li's food intake will no longer be concerned. As long as he doesn't say enough, the kitchen won't stop. Ai Li also knows that he eats too much, the food energy is absorbed by his body. In particular, the demand for S cells is very large, and eating is also a key point to increase cell strength. But eating all the time is still a bit tiring. Ai Li is a little dissatisfied with spending too much time on chewing in a day. Then, you are dissatisfied with your food intake and absorption speed, start to perceive your body's absorption method, you have an epiphany. Created the swallowing method. Phagocytosis method. absorb the nutrients of the food to the greatest extent, completely integrate into the cells of the body's organs, and the extraction amount can reach 100%. Close black lens bracket. It's done. Ai felt the change in the amount of nutrition he extracted from food, and showed a smile. Chapter 3 Bullseye threatens Jinbin. I want to hire you. Advertise here. Boom. Boost. Did you not eat at noon? Let me see your strength. You can't even beat a child. That's why your father gave you money. Get up. A bunch of trash. Looking at the fallen men in suits all around, Ai said dissatisfiedly. But even if he belittled them so much, none of these people could stand up. A maid came over and handed over a towel, and casually took it and wiped her cheeks. Where's my father? Ai asked casually. The master is receiving guests in the office. Nodding, Ai knows that dad has been very busy these days. It seems that someone is causing trouble in Hell's Kitchen. This is the base of their family. When they were still expanding their power outside, someone came to the lair to make trouble. How could the father Jin Bin bear it, so he naturally began to find a way to solve this bug. Lifting his feet and leaving the training room, Ai walked towards the front yard. After he left, the sparring partners worked hard to get up one by one. Hiss, the young master is getting more and more merciless. Come on, if he is serious, he might lose an arm or break a leg. How did he train, and why does he improve so much every time? Hee, I could still see his movements last time, but now I don't even notice him moving. Don't say a few words. If the boss knows that we are talking about this, be careful to pick our skin. They discussed in twos and threes in low voices, with helplessness and aggrieved faces mixed on their faces. To be honest, they were also very embarrassed when Ai said that they couldn't even beat a child. But the problem is, they can't even see the figure of the young master when he started to fight. How can they fight? Said to let them come to sparring, but in fact they feel. I came here to be abused, to be a sandbag. If this goes on like this, the young master will probably become the one who can fight the most. I don't know who is more powerful now, the young master and the boss. It's a pity that the boss has a young son, and I don't know if the position will be. Snapped. When the leader heard his subordinates talking more and more excessively, and mentioned the future of the gang, his face immediately changed and he slapped him on the face. Now everyone woke up. They discussed a lot. Everyone is silent and dare not speak. Let me give you a hug. As soon as Ai arrived at the front yard, she saw her mother, Vanessa, holding her child. Hastily walked up to take the baby and tease the other's face. Looking at the baby in her arms, it's no wonder that Vanessa always liked to tease her face when she was a child. I thought that in the anime of Crayon Shin-chan, Xiao Xin's face is a bit exaggerated, but only when I see my brother, I know. It turns out that babies can really have such big apple muscles. Going to fight again, Vanessa said a little dissatisfied when she saw the folds of Ailee's clothes. No, it's just practice. It's not fighting. Hearing what his mother said, Ailee hurriedly explained that he knew that Vanessa hated him fighting with others the most. She always feels that Ailee's focus now should be on learning. Then you should also pay attention. Your father's subordinates know your identity, so they will let you, but they always let you win like this. What if you swell and cause trouble outside? You are still a child. Although you are 10 years old, you must control your temper. Don't take it out on them when you are a little unhappy. They regard you as the young master, so they let you. Yes. Ailee reluctantly agreed. Let me. I'm afraid they won't even be able to touch the corner of my clothes. But her mother, Vanessa, who doesn't like fighting, has never seen herself fight, so she doesn't know what happened. Seeing his son Ailee absent-mindedly listening to his teaching, knowing that what he said is useless, this child seems to have entered a rebellious period. Thinking of something, she smiled and said suddenly, you still put your studies first, let me arrange a school for you. Ailee was taken aback by teasing his younger brother's smile, feeling that life is not good. Go to school. Stop it. I'm going to find my father. After returning his 3-month-old brother to his mother, Ailee turned and left. You can't pick up the bait, or Vanessa will definitely pressure him to go to school. He. Vanessa couldn't help laughing when she saw Ailee running away. She knew that the other party would be like this. Every time Ailee mentioned going to school, she would play all kinds of tricks. For 10 years, Ailee has been using breathing and phagocytosis to improve his physical strength. It is no exaggeration to say that his current combat ability has almost surpassed the existence he knows. Although his arms and legs are normal at the age of 10, he is no different from ordinary people, but his cell strength and viscera strength are far beyond that of human beings. If it is in other places, my body should be regarded as a divine body, right? Ailee compared it. Other countries in memory, such as the Aesir Protoss in Asgard and the giants of Jotunheim in Jotunheim, their cells are 3 times stronger than humans. And I seem to be. More than 3 times. Among them, the most important S cells accounted for almost more than 10%. I don't have combat power evaluation glasses, and I don't know what my current combat power is. Walking to Jin Bing's office on the 2nd floor, Ailee was just about to knock on the door when he heard a conversation inside. The sound insulation effect of this room is absolutely high strength. Even if there is a cannon inside, there is no movement outside. But the cell strength is enhanced, and the high-intensity sensory Ailee can hear clearly. Jin Bin, you're just a gang leader. You pay me to do things and just complete the tasks. Don't think too highly of yourself. He must be killed by me. If you dare to do one more thing, even you and I will be killed. I heard that you like your two sons very much. You should take care of them. Ai Li didn't knock on the door, but pushed the door directly and entered. He would like to see who would dare to talk to the underground emperor in New York, his father, whose combat prowess is beyond the charts, and whose human body is at the limit of cultivation. Then, he saw a man standing in front of his father's desk in the room. He wears dark tights on his upper body, black leather pants, and a motorcycle mask on his head. The most noticeable thing is the position of his forehead. There is actually a flying darts target painted on the mask. Afraid that others will not be able to find the bullseye when shooting. Does father like to watch Joker performances recently? He actually invited such a low-level Joker to perform one-on-one. Ai Li asked Jin Bing with a smile on his face. For a moment, Bullseye's face was dark, and his eyes looked at the 10-year-old kid with anger. Chapter 4 Mysterious Law of Life and Death, Saiyan Physique. Advertise here. Ai Li, don't talk nonsense, this is the killer I invited. Jin Bing's original ugly face dissipated a lot in an instant, and he explained to him with a smile. He definitely knows what kind of personality his son has. Young but wise, irritable but methodical. He didn't think his son would look harmless and understand nothing, thinking that the person opposite was Joker. It is clear that Ai Li must have heard something and is deliberately pretending to be an ignorant child to get angry with the other party. Are you a killer? The kind of killer who kills invisible, without touching any leaves? Ai Li turned to look at Bullseye and asked. I'm a mercenary. As long as you can afford it, I can even help you kill your father and make you the boss of the gang. Bullseye seemed to be angry at what Ai Li had just insulted him, and replied intentionally. That's not necessary, I'm not interested in this position. But if you're a mercenary, can you do everything if I pay you? Definitely, the premise is that you can afford the money. Bullseye replied casually. I should have some money. Ai Li hesitated for a moment and continued to speak. I'll give you 100 million, can you kill the president for me? Bullseye's smile froze, and his whole complexion froze. President. With his strength, he might be discovered if he gets closer. Don't think that the bodyguards around the president are fake. Not enough money. Seeing that he didn't answer, Ai Li asked strangely. A little less. Bullseye replied awkwardly. That's right, but I only have 100 million. Can the director kill someone else? Definitely yes, it's just a bureau chief. Tell me, what bureau chief? Bullseye also has self-esteem, he can't kill the president, and he dare not promise. But isn't a director simple? If a child dares to make a sound here, his bullseye is too shameful. In front of Jin Bin, he didn't want his momentum to be suppressed. Nick Fury, director of the Homeland Strategic Defense Offensive and Logistics Agency, is a black one-eyed man. How long does it take to kill 100 million? HMPH, director of the Logistics Support Bureau. Give me a week. But there must be a deposit. Bullseye snorted coldly. He actually let himself kill a director of the Logistics Support Bureau, he looked down on him too much. It is simply easy to grasp. If it was the chief of the police station, he still felt a little exciting and tricky. I've heard the rules. Father, can you transfer him a deposit of 10 million yuan first? No problem, my child. Bullseye, put aside the task I gave you before, and the 20 million will be used as a deposit for this time. Jin didn't know what his son was going to do. Why did he target a bureau chief? But since he asked, he agreed. It's only 20 million US dollars, which is a little bit of water for him. HMPH. Bullseye snorted coldly, then walked to the window and jumped down. What followed was the roar and chasing sounds of several Tibetan mastiffs raised by Ai Li in the front yard. Why did you think of asking him to kill a bureau chief? What bad idea do you have? Jin Bing waited for the other party to leave before asking Ai Li. It's nothing, it's just that he's upset. Ai Li replied casually. Jin didn't know whether the he in Ai Li's mouth was upset. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Jin didn't make a sound, and Ai Li was also waiting for a reply. To school, do you? Ha 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 ha. I knew my father was very smart, so he followed my roots. Followed your roots. Ahem, I mean, there are no idiots in the Fisk family. Ai Li hastily changed his words. I know you're smart and don't want to learn those things, but your mother talked it over with me. He is really not interested in going to school with a bunch of little kids, and he can barely accept it in high school. After this matter was settled, Ai Li also relaxed and turned to leave. When he opened the door, hesitation paused and spoke to Jin Bing. Father, if you have trouble, you can tell me, you know my strength, I can help you. We are a family. Yes, Dad understands. Jin smiled and nodded. Emperor, with a majestic face and an aura of a strong man. He took out his mobile phone, dialed a number, and said to the person opposite. Check it out for me, the Homeland Strategic Defense Offensive and Logistics Agency, and Nick Fury. He knew that his son was not an ordinary child, since he would say this name suddenly, 100 million so easily. Wanting to get back the spot for himself, deliberately tricking the bullseye, Haukuk Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau. Is there some mystery? Li Ai, who left the office, was a little leisurely. Now the trouble of going to school is solved, he has already mastered those courses and knowledge, almost all in his mind. Going to school to play house with a group of 10-year-olds, Ai Li will make strength. Before he was 10 years old, he had been restraining his progress to prevent his physical development from being too exaggerated. And now it's time to move on to the next step. The foundation has been laid, and the real blowout improvement begins. Fighting is the most critical ability, and Ai Li knows that strength is the last word in this world. You have gained insight into the deep-seated mysteries of life through long-term accumulation of Mystery Law of Life and Death. Mystery Law of Life and Death. In the battle with all your strength, after Marvel exclusive foundation building medicinal bath. Advertise here. Finally come. Ai Li has been fighting with Papa's men all these years. At the beginning, he was not used to the way of fighting, and those people, all fighting methods were quickly mastered by him. These days, Ai Li has also learned countless fighting techniques, each of which he has integrated into his own experience. At the age of 10, he is already considered a master of fighting. As long as the fighting skills can be found, they are all within the learning scope of Ai Li technique, Russian Sambo, Aikido, Sanda. As long as it is familiar to the ear, Ai Li will not deduction. To put it bluntly, the imitation master may be a small party in front of him. After all, Ai Li, besides these fighting skills, his strength is not fake either. With the same punch, if you master imitation, unless you can imitate my strength. Boom. I punch the sandbag in the basement training base. This is a custom-made sandbag. In fact, it should not be called this name, because it is. We still have to fight. Although all you can meet now are small party dishes, it's better than practicing against these machines. Ai Li looked at these machines, and said helplessly. If it doesn't work, then go to study the gravity chamber. The general direction is the supergravity increasing device of centrifugal force. This requires him to study subsequent mechanics courses. It's too troublesome, it's not as convenient as researching new exercises. After all, the focus of the gravity room is to increase the strength of your physical body. The next thing. To improve the strength of the body, starting from the cells, the S cells have the blessing of breathing, coupled with the cooperation of the Moonlight Bruce spectrum, the basic speed is enough. The rest. Nutrition solution. Whether it is the legendary medicated bath or the more popular scientific nutrient solution in the West. Fortunately, Ai Li's understanding is against the sky, and the speed of learning Chinese medicine is simply amazing. And it, combine it with Western science and medicine, and integrate it, you have an epiphany. You have created bath. After soaking, it can strengthen the body's cell activity, remove dark wounds, and eliminate impurities in the body. Close black lens bracket. Done. A prescription was determined by Ai Li, and he was sure that the effect of this thing would be absolutely fine. That night, Ai Li collected all the medicinal materials and tested them himself. His original S cells have reached a terrifying level, and because of the breathing method, there are not so many impurities in the body. But even so, the color of the potion still changed after soaking, which was obviously the result of the impurities being discharged. Feeling the difference in himself, Ai Li felt that his strength seemed to be a little stronger. In addition, hearing and vision have improved. The strength of the body has been further improved, and the effect of soaking for a long time and multiple times will definitely be better. After thinking for a while, Ai Li decided to give Vanessa and Jin both this medicinal bath. If it was, have a hard time being picked up by others. How could it be possible to be like this now, to be well clothed and well, so why should he hold back from them, things that can make them better? Ai Li doesn't seem to hide them. If you don't even want to do these things, why bother to be a human being? Wouldn't it be better to be a beast who doesn't understand anything? Even if it is a beast, crows still know how to feed back. With the medicine bath prescription, Ai Li walked towards Jin Bing's office. At the same time, let the maid call her mother Vanessa. He was a little surprised to hear that his son had made a medicated bath. That's right, father, I have personally experienced this medicated bath. In addition to improving physical fitness and eliminating impurities, it can also heal previous dark wounds. These words caused Jin Bing's eyes to widen, and healed the hidden wounds. He has worked hard and fought with people for so many years, and there are indeed many injuries in his body, and after many years of accumulation, he is often troubled. Is it reliable? Thinking of the wisdom and ability, let's try. Vanessa on the side stared at Jin Bin with great interest, and he believed it. In Vanessa's opinion, this is simply a fantasy. Taking a bath can heal the body and strengthen the body. But seeing her husband and son starting to mess around, Vanessa didn't question her. No matter what, even if it's fake, it's not bad to let the father and son make trouble together and deepen their relationship. After all, Vanessa felt a little sorry for Ai Li. Since she had a son with Jin, she felt that she paid less attention to Ai Li. Jin Bing is also very busy with gang affairs, so he can't take care of Ai Li. Vanessa's guilt is obviously getting deeper and deeper, and it's really good for the family to have some trouble together this time. This kind of thinking made Vanessa cooperate with their father and son to make a medicated bath, but after the soak, Jin getting better in the mirror, like white jade, and fainted with excitement. Jin Bin rolled his eyes, and swallowed her saliva. The long-term gang affairs have kept him from getting close to women for a long time. After the medicinal bath, he felt a little hot. Vanessa called softly. Jin stood up from the wall. These two are really interested. Ai Li was waiting outside the door for them to finish their medicinal bath, discussing the next matters. If it was just Jin Bin, he would have been waiting inside. But if my mother is there, it's not appropriate. Unexpectedly, after waiting, seeing that the time was almost up, and they were able the corners of his mouth twitching, he turned around and picked up his younger brother Richard and walked out of the house to the outer courtyard. You won't have more younger brothers, will you? Ai Li joked, teasing Richard's apple muscles. It's thanks to you this time. Jin Bin said with a smile on his face. This is the time when he is in the best mood during this period. The moment he came out of the water, he found that his body was more relaxed, but there were always some that couldn't be healed, such as the scars on the bones. But now when he does some movements like before, the pain is obviously much less. Jin Bing understands that it is impossible to heal himself completely with a medicated bath, and it is already astonishing to have such a good effect. And this is all thanks to the blessing of his adopted son, Ai Li. At this moment, Jin felt that when Vanessa hugged the other party and said that she wanted to adopt him, it was really an extremely correct decision. When I came out of the church, I met Ai Li. Maybe the other party was really given to me by God. As the boss of a gangster, with such a child, he really doesn't know what God thinks. It is precisely because of his career that Jin cherishes his family very much. Whether it's Ai Li who was adopted first, or Richard who was born with Vanessa later. I see that you have been a little busy recently. It seems that there is some difficulty. What's the matter? Something went wrong with the gang. Ai Li couldn't help asking. Jin Bing was very busy during this time, even busier than before. It shouldn't be. He is already the boss of Hell's Kitchen, and his influence has radiated to the no reason why this time is busier than before. Something went wrong. Jin Bin replied. Kim wasn't surprised that his 10-year-old son was talking to him like that. Because he thinks Ai Li is a genius. It's time you asked Bullseye to assassinate the chief. Jin Bin raised his head and stared at him, with a puzzled look in his eyes. What's the origin of that Nick Fury? What happened to Bullseye? Not to mention this, Ai Li has forgotten, as if he really didn't hear the news of Bullseye, and was a little curious. He found an opportunity on the street and directly assassinated the opponent, but he didn't expect that a bureau chief would be equipped with all kinds of weapons. Jin Bing raised his brows tightly together, until now he still finds it a bit unbelievable. He has a heavy machine gun and a grenade gun in his car, and the car is even equipped with a missile launcher. Damn it, you can't imagine that just as Bullseye is about to make a move, an RPG will hit you. Being hunted down, and has hit abroad. Hearing this, Ai Li couldn't help laughing out loud, really thought 20 million would be easy to get. No, it's not that the task was not completed, and 20 million was given to the other party. The money came back, but he didn't complete the task, so the deposit will naturally be returned. He has a mercenary organization affiliated with him. Jin Bing knew what he was thinking when he saw Ai Li's face. Swallowing money from Jin Bing. Sorry, no one in New York has dared to do that yet. Don't underestimate the boss of a gangster, especially the underground emperor of New York. Everyone, if you have any difficulties, please tell us. Your mother and I never regarded you as an adopted child. Remember one thing, Ai Li listened to Jin Bing's indoctrination of the old routine again, and took over the other party's words. A truly intelligent person never puts himself in a dangerous position. That's right. Jin was not satisfied that Ai Li took his words to heart. After leaving Dad's office, Ai Li remembered about the medicine bath. Forget it, an existence like Jin Bing is not the boss of a child's playhouse, the other party can go this far, I really think the IQ will be low. I'm afraid that the matter of the medicinal bath has been prepared in the first place, and there is no need for him to mention it. However, the sudden change of subject still made Ai Li find something wrong with Jin. He was worried about meddling in his affairs. Is it because my mother doesn't want to get involved in the underworld, or because Jin is worried about his safety? Randomly found a subordinate responsible for guarding the safety of the villa, and Ai Li waved him to the training room on the second basement floor. After realizing that she was the one chosen, Karen straightened her back and walked over with a generous face. The other hands around him didn't move their faces, but their eyes shifted to watch his steps, and they were happy in their hearts. Who doesn't know that if you fight with the young master Ai Li, you will be beaten badly? Although there are a lot of training subsidies after the end, the pain is really painful. What bad things happened in the gang recently? It affected my father. Just when he took off his suit and was ready to meet the young master's fist, he was startled when he heard this question, and stood there staring blankly at Ai Li. Not a fight. Then there is no allowance. No, this cannot be answered. If the boss finds out, he will be miserable. I don't know, I'm just a gatekeeper. Karen pretended not to understand anything, with a confused look on. Give you another chance, what happened? Have no idea. The subordinates who can guard around the villa are the core members of the gang. In addition to being strong and professionally trained, everyone. They are also entitled to know many things. Don't say. Seeing that the other party still didn't speak, Ai Li understood that he was afraid that his father would be bigger than himself. He casually walked to a dumbbell, and he casually held a 50 kilograms discus in his hand. Click. The discus was grabbed by Ai Li with both hands and squeezed in, and after a few times it turned into a shot put. Gurgling. The corners of Karen's mouth twitched several times, and the sweat on his forehead began to drip down. Chapter 7 The Punisher. Why are you staring at Hell's Kitchen? 7/10. Advertise here. So you said that, boss. The situation is pressing. Karen dared not swallow his saliva, facing Jin Bin's eyes. I can only move my eyes to the irregular shot put on the side. Seeing his dodging eyes, Jin Bin also looked at the shot put, then walked up and grabbed it with one hand and lifted it up. Karen stiffened at the sight. This family is really terrifying. The son squeezed the discus into a shot put when he was 10 years old, and the father picked up a 100 Jin shot put with one hand to play with. How did you practice? Get the punishment yourself, Jin Bin said. Karen was shocked and received the penalty. This punishment is very simple, glanced at him sternly. With his eyes, Karen only felt that his body was stared at by a ferocious beast, and the cold sweat on his back had overflowed, and his clothes were all wet. Will die. No. The young master wanted me to give something to the boss before he left. Karen hurriedly took out a piece of paper from her pocket and handed it over. Jin Bing opened it and smiled after twitching the corners of his mouth. Okay, and escaped. Salary. That's a fart. He has made a lot of money following the boss all these years. Seemed to have gone through a roller coaster. Good guy. He was threatened by two people, father and son, within an hour. One is the threat of power suppression, and the other is mental oppression. Jin didn't care about his departure, he would know about it. His eyes fell on the shot put. Jin Bin lifted it up and squeezed it a few times, uneven. It was easily squeezed into a ball. Ai Li, how strong is your strength now? Such a genius. Follow me. As the adoptive father of the other party, Jin Bing would not say that his son is a monster. Therefore, genius on Ai Li is his favorite adjective. Is it over there? Ai Li stood on the roof of a building in the dark, wearing a simple pullover to hide his face. Although he was only 10 years old, his body was strengthened, and he was much taller than his peers, reaching 1.6 meters. The role of the pullover is to make others see him, and they won't think he is a 10-year-old kid, but think he is a shorter young man. He came out after getting information from Karen. Punisher. This name is the existence of some fame in Hell's Kitchen recently. A man who is doing things everywhere calls himself the Punisher. No one knows his purpose, but he is targeting gangsters and gangsters. Among them, Jin Bin is the largest gang here, so naturally it is targeted. Several the opponent doesn't keep his hands like Spider-Man, but kills with one blow, leaving no one alive. Frank Castle. Ai Li didn't know much about this character, and began to search for this person's information in the memory palace in his mind. A soldier from the U.S. Marine Corps, he served as a military training instructor with various channels and loopholes in the law. Frank, who was completely desperate for justice, wanted to avenge his wife and children. Decided to seek justice for his wife and children in his own way, and adopted methods of killing all criminals without pardon. In this way, the other party seems to be a good person, punishing in the previous life. Ordinary people's Ai Li would definitely give him a thumbs up silently, and also kindly call him. Ai Li feels that as a flower grower, I want to clear obstacles for the motherland. Then with pranayama, his mind changed. I'm from Earth. I want to protect my Earth. And now, Ai Li feels that he needs to change his mind again. I even grinned and carried rice. I am God. Definitely, Ai Li is very clear that his current strength has not yet reached this stage. But the difference in vision makes his attitude towards things different. Home is his current fetter, and Jin Bin is a thread in this fetter. Now that you Punisher are making the thread tremble, I'm going to stabilize these and make the thread calm again. Punisher. Even if you are the king of gods, I will clear the obstacles in the way. Open black lens bracket based on your close black lens bracket. This is a new understanding that Ai Li got a few months ago. The use of ki, like the ki in Dragon Ball, can perceive other people's ki. However, this, Chi Jin Bing, his chi is many times stronger than ordinary people. Ai Li directly remembers it in his heart after getting acquainted with it. Somewhat similar to combat power measurement glasses, but not as accurate. The entire Hell's Kitchen was in his perception, and he quickly found several relatively powerful chi. Exclude a few and the other party is now cautiously approaching a flower processing factory. Obviously, his goal today is to solve this factory. Ai Li jumped directly from the tall building, and moved forward quickly after the whole body fell. I don't know why. That's it. The Punisher Frank moved a little bit. Standing at wait for the people inside to come out, and start a wave of shooting, and then. Does it look good? Suddenly, a voice sounded from Frank's side. Chapter 8 Get rid of the Punisher. The lack of memory palace open black lens bracket 8/10 close black lens bracket. Advertise here. Who? This sound scared Frank so much that he almost peed out. It took him a long time to find this location, and he also made sure that there was no one around. He was just concentrating on preparing to attack, when suddenly a voice came from his ear, and the other party was very casual. How could he be calm? He hurriedly stood up and tried to pull out his exclusive 9mm Browning automatic pistol from his waist. I felt a huge force coming from my waist, as if I was hit by a locomotive and flew backwards. Boom. Hitting the wall, Frank felt that his body no longer belonged to him. As an experienced unconventional warfare specialist, he is familiar with conventional dread. Footsteps sounded. Frank raised his spirits and looked over, and saw the figure of Ai Li approaching. The hood was lifted to reveal his face, and Ai Li looked at him curiously. This kind of guy is just like the City Soldier King, which makes people feel incredible. A special veteran who has received countless fighting, shooting, underwater operations, extorting confessions, intelligence gathering, etc., etc. He is proficient in all kinds of firearms, his combat weapons are not fixed, and he can shoot a dagger as a blade, and there are no mistakes within 20 meters. Xiao Li has flying darts skills. It is military experts who can make thermal weapons, and medical experts who can treat all trauma. Almighty. Okay. Except for the Urban Soldier King, such a person can only be produced by American blockbusters. I'm curious, is it true that as long as you have experience in the Marine Corps, you are invincible? Ai Li asked the other party. You are Jin Bin's son. Frank wants to target Jin Bing's gang, and definitely investigated the other party. It's not that Ai Li doesn't leave the gate and doesn't go out, the photo is also there with the other party. But he never expected that the opponent's strength was so terrifying that. Not human at all. One strike. Just a whip kick can beat him like this. This kind of guy is a personal combat weapon. Party is similar to Captain America. Yeah, the information is quite complete, so don't you know that my father Jin Bing's personal strength is also good? Ai Li was surprised that the other party could recognize him, a little surprised. Then asked curiously. It's really annoying, you can investigate so much, don't you know that your strength is also vulnerable to my father? Do you really think you are strong? Jumping around every day, that is, my father doesn't want to end up fighting against fleas like you in person. If he is inferior, he would have killed you long ago. Puff. Listening to the other party comparing himself to a flea. Ai Li is actually just teasing him, and beating him is indeed the same as beating his son. No, it sounds like dad would beat himself. It was Jin who beat him like beating his grandson, completely crushing him, but Jin couldn't find this mouse, he was elusive and refused to show up, and he had professional anti-tracking. And he never kept alive and did not reveal his face, so no one knew what he looked like. Because of this, Jin Bin, who is obviously powerful, is troubled all day because of the Punisher. Hee. Daddy is a gang leader. Son is also a bastard. Panting heavily, Frank stared at Ai Li with hatred and said sarcastically. TCH, do you know how many jobs my dad brought to New York? Ai Li looked at him disdainfully. What is the connection between right and wrong? He is not a sentimental, bright and optimistic protagonist of the second dimension Madonna. Ai Li thinks that he should be regarded as an ancestor a universe. He no longer cares about gangsters or gangsters. Ai Li doesn't want to see any disgusting pictures. So he decided to be clean, walked to the side and reached out to grab the wall pier, and lifted it up with a snap. Then approached Frank step by step. With wide-eyed eyes, Frank felt that he had seen a ghost. How could this wall pier weigh several tons? This guy held it with one hand. Then with a horrified expression, he discovered that the other party was going to attack him. Wait, do you know how many bad things your father has done? You should be an Englishman with this ability. Boom. Take off in 3 steps and then hit a slam dunk directly. The huge amounts of sound caused the sirens of many old-fashioned. Frank was photographed as a pancake, but Ai Li couldn't see it. He killed the opponent in this way, the Punisher Frank. Who else? Neighborhood hero Spider-Man. Who else has anything to do with Hell's Kitchen? After returning home, Ai Li took a shower and sorted out the mood of the first murder. After recovering almost, he began to study his memory. Traveling to this world for 10 years, to be honest, many things will be slowly forgotten with time. At most, some big events can be kept in his mind. But it's not what he wants. How can you be indifferent if you can be the prophet of the plot? My memory palace is still not enough, and the memories stored in a simple memory palace will slowly dissipate, and my mental power. Thinking of this aspect, Ai Li has always focused on the strength of the physical body, but forgot the improvement of the spiritual aspect. Mental power is also a force that cannot be ignored in Marvel. Chapter 9 The idea of refining gods and meditation. We are also a student 9/10. Advertise here. Mental power affects too many things. Resistance to sound waves, resistance to illusion, defense against magic that affects the mind. Even practicing magic may be related to spiritual power. After all, magician's soul astral, that is, the astral projection, used by their magician seems to be the embodiment of spiritual power. Therefore, this thing is still very necessary. Wanting to understand this, Ai Li immediately started research on spiritual power. There is a house of gold in the book, and knowledge is what everyone wishes for. Ai Li believes in this, even if the content they learn is written by others, but integrating everyone's cognition is what Ai Li needs to do. And the next step is to use the heaven-defying understanding to continue to improve these cognitions. Spiritual power is actually a kind of magnetic field. This kind of magnetic field only exists in intelligent life forms, and the higher the level of the life form, the stronger the spiritual power. This is a bit of a statement. Ai Li studied for a while with a theology book he just bought, and found a reliable saying. At least this is the most similar. Everything that exists in the universe is conserved, it will not disappear or appear out of thin air, so from the perspective of conservation, spiritual power is a tangible existence, but human beings are currently invisible and intangible. Mankind's large-scale and high-intensity attention will act on the material space and cause the material to move in a regular manner. In layman's terms, it means that human spiritual power can directly change the material reality, but this change is very, very small. Only through extremely meticulous statistics and calculations can be found that the combined spiritual power of all human beings has almost negligible impact on reality. Hey, it's interesting. This theory. Ai Li looked at the book unexpectedly. It was well written, and he originally thought it was fabricated by a magician, but with so many contents mixed together. Looks like this guy has a bit of knowledge, and seems to. He knows how to cultivate spiritual power. Ai Li guessed suspiciously, and then looked at the title page of the book. Author. Tilda Swinton. Okay, I don't know. However, it was of great help to him. Ai Li immediately continued to read books. Knowledge is the last word of all foundations. No matter how amazing my ability is, and what kind of understanding is against the sky, it is impossible to become a doctor from ignorance. Only with enough basic knowledge can you break through more difficult problems. This is the same as cultivation, only when the foundation is strong enough can there be greater progress in breaking through. Based on your understanding of mental mechanics, combined with S-cells to master the inner vision ability, you have an epiphany. Created. S-cell alchemy meditation method. Close black lens bracket. S-cell refining meditation method. Meditate in your mind, exercise your own spiritual power, use S cells as the basis to communicate with your soul, temper your own spirit, and strengthen your soul structure. It's still related to the soul. Ai Li frowned, feeling a little annoyed about the soul. The existence of spiritual power is special, it is enough to be explained by science, and it is something he can understand now. Because of this, he was able to realize this idea of meditation. But the soul is different. The soul is a pseudo-scientific subject standing in the known science, and it is also something that human beings cannot get involved at present. It is too difficult for Ilux to comprehend this thing simply by relying on his current understanding, and it may take many years. For the past 10 years, Ai Li has been forging his own body, from cells to viscera to bones. Every part is being polished, and with the effect of the medicinal bath, his current strength has reached a terrifying level. With a pure physical body, he doesn't think anyone can compete with him on Earth. In recent years, what Ai Li has started to study is his own spiritual power. Definitely did not let go of the physical body, but the breathing method has become his full power exercise. As long as he is breathing, he will keep improving. There is no need to take the initiative to control the cultivation of the subconscious mind. The forging of mental power also greatly strengthens Ai Li's memory ability. In addition to simply refining his own spiritual power for subsequent practice, Ai Li has also built his own memory kingdom. Yes, memory kingdom. Another's is a palace, his is a kingdom. The effect of the memory palace is to virtualize your brain into a space for storing information, similar to a computer hard disk. Then classify the characteristics of each room, just like folders in a computer. In fact, to put it bluntly, it is a coding and processing method. But a normal person, to be precise, a genius is to classify the necessary and important content. After all, not all of these memories are needed. But Ai Li is different, he has completely turned his memory into a huge database, while others are computer hard drives, he is an entire server. My virtual self stands in front of the kingdom in my mind. On the left is the knowledge he learned, and the palace doorpost above says, mathematics, mechanics, and theology. On the right is his experience, important things, accidents experienced. And in the central main hall, when Ai Li walked into it, the first thing that appeared was a display screen. Iron Man, Hulk, Avengers 1 Foot, Galaxy. After opening each one, there are different screens. The Avengers Alliance movie he had watched flickered in the past. Ai Li felt that he was very necessary, so he put it in the main hall. Walking inside, Ai Li stopped at the main seat of the palace, which was supposed to be a throne, but now it turned into a computer chair. He walked up with a smile, sat on it casually, the scene in front of him was reversed, and what appeared was his experience in his previous life. That's right, Ai Li put all these memories of her previous life here to remind her of her existence. He wants to remind himself that he is a time traveler. Otherwise, he is worried that if one day his existence can really surpass the gods, or reach the stage of the gods, in the blink of an eye, he will forget his past in tens of millions of years. After all, how many people will remember the memories of thousands of years ago? Ai Li, don't delay, you know what day it is. There was a shout outside the door, everything in front of Ai Li's eyes began to be false, and then slowly dissipated, and he opened his eyes, and he returned to the bedroom. Hearing the urging voice outside the door, Ai Li stood up and answered. Got it, Mom, here I come. At 1.85 meters, he was much taller than himself a few years ago. Vanessa stroked his hair, already requiring him to bend down to cooperate. Congratulations, Ai Li, you are about to enter your high school career, let's work hard. Okay, I will work hard. Ai Li really wants to tell him that he has finished all his university courses and enlightenment and chi training. School daily 10/10. Advertise here. Midtown High School care of most of the things around him. Not bad, the efficiency of the other party's work is quite high. Karen can solve any request as soon as possible as long as it is reasonable. So he is also happy that the other party follows him, which saves him a lot of time. Playing hooky. Ai Li subconsciously thought of this movie. It's just that Zhou Xingxing in it came back to school when he was old, but he traveled to another world, and his age really became younger. As the plot of pretending to be aggressive coming. To be honest, Ai Li likes this kind of plot a little bit, after all, this thing is rarely encountered. In the past, their followers are not simple. It's really a pity, but this time going to school alone, isn't this an opportunity? All the student status issues have been resolved, and the school teacher also sent a questionnaire for the entrance examination. After answering the questions online, he confirmed that his knowledge was okay, and he passed quickly. So go straight into it. Ai Li is a transfer student in the 3rd year of high school. Since my mother wants to be a student and satisfy her desire to be able to hold parent-teacher meetings, Ai Li tries to satisfy her as much. Class C, your class. The guard pointed to the direction when he saw the notice, and let him enter the school by himself. He didn't enter the school with everyone, so when he came, many classrooms were still in class. After Ai Li went to the teaching office and found the director, he was taken to Class C. In the penultimate row by the window. Ai Li didn't pay attention to the questions on the blackboard at a glance, and the simple mathematical equations could already see the answer at a glance. Turning her head to look out of the window, Ai Li. Foreign girls mature relatively early, at least Ai Li didn't see any shadow of high school students in each other. With a smile, Ai Li continued to look out the window. It's not that he's pretending, but he really didn't have much interest in this ordinary girl. With his physique, he lost the opponent before rushing a few times. Then it is very likely to beg for mercy. In the end, the other party fainted before I finished. Playing with dead bodies. What a fart. Lee admires Vegeta very much for this. Bulma has never practiced before. When an ordinary body is doing things, if Vegeta gets excited, be good, even if it doesn't kill someone. Lee also gave birth to a son Trance, and Lee suspects that Vegeta may not have experienced what is cool. Like, is it him? Gwen looked curiously at the Asian face. I'm not sure. Can. The sixth sense told her that it was this Lee. A woman's sixth sense is sometimes very accurate. When Gwen was staring at Lee, there was also a man in the first group stance. It's just that Lee doesn't know this at all, otherwise he would definitely be a little excited. What he needs. It's no different from being at home. After school, go home. Then Lee wraps up her first day of school, led by Mom Vanessa. Brother, is school fun? Before it was too late, his younger brother Richard slipped into his room and began to ask. Richard, who is about to enter elementary school, is very concerned about this matter. In order not to dampen his younger brother's curiosity, Lee decided to deceive him kindly, telling him about the benefits of the school and the fun of countless friends. He was sure that if he said school was boring, 5 minutes later Vanessa would be rushing in and firing on him. You understand the essence of Chi, you have an epiphany. Created. Chi training method. Close blood exercise, strengthening one's own Chi can improve strength in all aspects. Close black lens bracket. Chi, a means that Lee has been comprehending. The Chi researched by Lee before was always almost meaning use of Qigong waves. But when he comprehended the S-cell God refining meditation method, and the generation of heat is realized through the biochemical reactions of the human body. The food we eat, the body. These cells are the processing plants of energy. Lee's Chi is created by the cells, and the S cells brought him a more concentrated Chi. He releases these energies, which is the so-called Qigong wave. Ordinary people can't do it because they don't use this energy. And some other species can do it, such as the electric eel, whose body can generate electricity that can reach 300 volts to 800 volts of high voltage. Baseball bat again, he hurriedly shouted. Stop it now, or I'll fire you. He's the son of the school man. At this moment, everyone around looked at this scene in astonishment. Lee seemed to be a butcher, slaughtering Thompson, a pig lying on the ground. One stick fell on the opponent's head, and each remaining stick hit the opponent's body and limbs. When a stick falls, it doesn't stop. Blood is running. Lee doesn't know seem to be cheering. There is a blood-red light shining in the eyes. This feeling is great. Chapman was stunned. They had seen school violence before. Most of the people who did it were Thompson who was being beat near him. Moreover, seeing the blood continued, Thompson's howling became smaller and smaller, as if there was no movement. Lee. Peter Parker was too frightened to move, but for some reason he was a little excited and so he couldn't beat himself, and he didn't dare to fight back, so Lee actually did this. How handsome. Enough. The incident has escalated to another stage, and the director also arrived at the scene, shouting and stopping. Seeing that Thompson's anger was getting weaker and weaker, fearing that he might die, Lee also stopped. Thompson called Lee a yellow skin, as long as it can be proved. Peter Parker is very smart. I thought of this on the way to find Gwen, and planned to ask Gwen to help contact her father, and then finding a good lawyer should be able to solve it. But I don't know, Lee doesn't worry about these at all. Following him into the office, he casually sat on the sofa and leaned back. Seeing this action, the director was furious. Call your parents here. In a word, he planned to ask the parents to come forward. I think it's better to forget it. Lee replied. Looking at Lee with strange eyes, this is the first time as a school manager appeared, and then the school manager claimed to be Thompson's father. It's boring. To be Lee didn't intend to do this, he's already kept a low profile, okay. Thompson had provoked himself, so he turned around and left, ignoring it. After all, he was not at the same level. But the other party insisted on looking uncomfortable and called himself a yellow monkey. You must know that in the flower growers, no one dares to call them this, which is an unacceptable name. Lee will take action to teach the opponent a lesson. The situation is really meaningless now. Lee stood up directly. If you want to find your parents, think about it clearly. If you don't, you can fire me or punish me. Anyway, I did beat someone. I'll leave first. By the way, if you want to lose money, tell me the amount. Lee walked directly towards the door. As for what they did, I had no interest in it. My mother asked me to come to school, and I have been here for 2 days. I was expelled because of this kind of thing, so I don't blame myself, right? Yes, my mother will forgive myself. And if he is really fired, Lee smiles. Look for his parents. We must. I want them to apologize. Thompson blushed and shouted. The director hurriedly found the number in the file and dialed it, then talked for a long time before hanging up. The other party seems to be a housekeeper, but I want to call Lee's father. I'll call again. The director finished talking to several people and called again. Is it Lee's father? I'm the director of Midtown High. I'm coming. Thompson's father took the phone directly and said, I'm the school manager. Your son fought with my son, and now I hurt my son. You come to the school to apologize. I can spare your son once, otherwise you got it. Snapped. Beep beep beep. Jin Bing listened to the blind voice on the phone with a confused look on his face. Has he, the underground emperor, been threatened? PFF'd. Then he couldn't help laughing again. This kid is fighting with someone at school. Jin Bin couldn't imagine what that scene was like. The more I think about Jin Bing, the happier I laugh, and finally I just burst out laughing. That's what's interesting, like a child. Then his face darkened again. My Jin Bin's child, you can't lose your momentum even in a fight. Threatening me. Standing up, Jin Bing leaned on his own weapon and walking stick, and walked towards the outside of the villa step by step. Are you okay? Peter Parker asked hurriedly when he saw Ai Li return to the classroom. Make trouble when it comes to racial issues. Gwen also came up to help and said a few words. Besides, I also asked my dad to come over and let him watch you solve the problem. He is the son of the school director and dare not mess around. Regarding what Thompson did, there are still many people in the school who are clear about it. There must be someone who is willing to testify, even if there is no. Next to Peter Parker ado. Ai Li had nothing to worry about. The concern of the two made Ai Li a little surprised, but was that Peter was also bullied by Thompson, and seeing Ai Li being treated like this was unbearable, and he was wise enough to know what Thompson's talkativeness would cause this time. It was a rare opportunity to punish Thompson, and he didn't want. The important thing is that he can see that Ai Li is not like those ordinary foreign students. Because he is not from here, he dare not provoke him. There are many Asians who are bullied here, and most of them dare not speak out because of this. Even many Asian girls are also because of this. Not only do they not resist after being bullied, but they can only fall in love with them obediently. It is not surprising that a female student has several boyfriends, because the first boyfriend will party, bring others to play. Gwen helped him because Papa Gwen was the director of the situation. Come and see, there are many people at the school gate. At the moment, suddenly a classmate stood by the window dumbfounded, and then shouted at the people in the classroom. Ai Li has a bad feeling. Chapter 13. Dad goes out, one fights 3/10 asking for flowers. Advertise here. Ai Li didn't move, because his anger was instantly perceived by the situation outside. Especially the dazzling aura in the crowd, which is different. Gwen and Peter Parker ran over. Then they saw an unexpected scene, making them stand on the spot. Countless cars appeared at the school gate. The leader was a stretched Cadillac, the whole car was bulletproof, and even the tires were specially made. The rest were all. As for the extended Cadillac, a walking stick was stuck on the ground, and Jin Bin, who was wearing a white suit, just got out of the car. One person walked towards the school gate, followed by hundreds of subordinates, all of them come in helplessly. Gudong. The security guard at the school gate took a few more glances and saw that there was a bulge under the black suit of every person in black. In this city where you can carry a gun with a gun license, Endo. You just said that your father is coming. Yeah, Gwen nodded, and then looked at the large group of people who walked in, with an incredulous expression on her face. Don't tell me, those people are your father. My dad took the lead. Ai Li replied with a dark face. What do you mean that group of people are dads? Your little mouth is really smeared with honey. Hey, Ai Li has a bit of a headache. The principal of this school still contacted his parents. Does Karen make a living? The contact information I left belongs to the City Police Department, and his father is the Underground Emperor of New York. Good guy, king to king, this is the meeting of the two bosses of Black and White. Clutching his head, Ai Li suddenly felt that there was a good show to watch this time. Sure enough, not long after, another police car drove into the campus. Car. Could it be that Captain America is sitting in this police car? Should we call the police? The security guard thought a little embarrassedly. Report it. The police cars are here. Don't report it. He thinks the people in this car may not be able to handle it. Forget it. I'd better go there. Ai Li felt that this happened because of himself, so he still had to go there. This time Gwen and Peter Parker didn't say a word, because they found out that the Joker was actually me. Worried about Ai Li, hee. They might as well worry about whether an ambulance will come later, and then drag the school board people away. Ai Li actually doesn't really want to act like this, because the result of pretending is trouble. Pretending to win is trouble said to win, and then a bunch of things popped up. If I knew it earlier, I would bear it, and then I would go directly to the other party's house and kill the other party at night. Hello, young master. Master. Hello. When Ai Li arrived at the principal's office, the subordinates in the 2 rows at the door instantly stood up straight and shouted. This is a small part, the rest are watching in the aisle. Before anyone enters, the sound arrives first. When he opened the door and walked in, he saw his father sitting on the principal's single sofa chair, smoking a cigar. Sitting opposite was a man in his 40s, wearing a police uniform, looking at Jin Bin with a gloomy expression. The owner of the office, the principal, and several school managers were obediently standing by the window and looking down at the leather shoes, with expressions of nothing to do with them, like obedient babies. I just said don't ask my parents. If you insist, what's the trouble? Ai Li said with a sigh. His son scolded you. Jin Bing saw Ai Li come in and asked. Well, the scolding is ugly. Ai Li replied casually. Oh, he used the most insulting words in the world to describe me. Huh, Jin was a little curious, the most insulting word in the world. What? He said I was a neon man. Jin Bing's face tightened instantly, he was so insulting. Then he spoke with some displeasure. So that's what you did. As soon as these words came out, the principal and the school directors were taken aback, and then they wanted to raise their heads in surprise. Seeing that this posture, Jin Bing didn't seem to be unreasonable to protect the cubs. There is still room for turning things around. Didn't I think the school would solve the school's affairs, so I just beat him up casually. If I had known it would be such a trouble, I would have asked Karen to bring someone over to blow up his house in the evening, turning it into a gang fight. As soon as Lee opened his mouth, the school manager's body trembled. Good guy, this kid is a bit crazy. Then he looked at the man in the police uniform sitting at the desk with a distressed look. It's quite smart. Jin Bin just laughed, and then looked provocatively at George Stacy across the way. Jin Bin, don't go too far. George Stacy said angrily. In front of himself, the New York police chief, he dared to say that. And this child is so presumptuous, this family is indeed a gangster. Then catch me, I'm right here, don't you always say you can't catch me. Jin Bin smoked the cigar in one gulp, took out another one, and played with the cigar tongs in his left hand. The cigar tongs clicked, and the sound of click director into a black man. Do you think I dare not arrest you? George couldn't bear it any longer. Get caught. Daddy, will I be sentenced to death? Jin turned his head and looked at Lee and asked. If there are no accidents, you will be released on the third day. After all, New York needs you. Lee knew killers, but he can't be captured by the police. Then New York is chaotic. There may be gun battles. Everst felt a toothache, which is why the New York government won't catch King. New York can have gangsters and needs an underground emperor. This is political correctness. Chief Police Officer. Jin stood up, smiled disdainfully at Director George, and then walked towards the school manager. Looking at the school manager whose legs began to tremble after approaching, Jin Bin's eyes were fixed, and a pressure fell from him to the school manager's body in an instant. You threatened me on the phone. No. It's not. I didn't know it was you. The school manager knelt on the ground with trembling legs. Jingle. Jin threw the cigar tongs on the ground, walked out without picking them up. School manager. Cut. Jin, who shook his head left with a large group of people, and Lee also felt that it was meaningless to leave. In a few seconds, a painful howl sounded. Just now the school manager ran up to Jin Bing with something bloody in his hands, and spread his hands. What was inside was a finger, and one finger was missing from his hand. Chapter 14 Impress You. An old man ran to the school and confronted the police chief, and still cut it. A person who is your father. I'm really convinced. You do this, Lee, how do you make friends at school? Mr. Jinbin, are you going to be watched by the police every day from today? In the largest building in the 35th Street Villa area of Hell's Kitchen in New York, a woman was sitting on the sofa and was angry, panting heavily from her mouth. On the other side, a bloated man over 2 meters tall held a teacup and handed it to the woman. Behind her was a 14-year-old boy who was 1.8 meters tall and pinched her shoulders with a smile. It's all Lee's fault. He wants to pretend to be aggressive. My father must cooperate. You ask me to give him more fatherly love. Jin Bing said with a smile. Yes. Lee rolled his eyes at Jin. Did he sell me? Really? Vanessa looked at her husband suspiciously. Definitely. I'm not a man. The underground emperor of New York. Jin Bing puffed out his chest and patted his chest and replied. What kind of person do I need to appear in front of me? I need those false names. I get tens of millions every minute. Then why did I hear that you left phone calls for several schoolgirls when you left, and said that the girls' school uniforms at Midtown High School are pretty good, all of which are miniskirts and white socks? Vanessa asked with her eyes narrowed. Jin Bing was stunned, and countless appearances of female students flashed through his mind, and then he flung aside and shouted with a flushed face. Who slandered me, Jin Bing? Who in Manhattan doesn't know that I, Jin Bing, loves my wife the most? Who doesn't know that I love my family the most? Puff, it's okay, it's just pretending. Vanessa couldn't help smiling when she saw Jin Bing's playful appearance. As soon as this smile came out, Jin Bin knew it was all right. Lee is so happy in the back. In fact, the current harmony in the family is really because Jin Bing is a person who loves his family and Vanessa. As the boss of a gangster, he really doesn't touch any wildflowers, he only treats Vanessa well. You must know that Vanessa doesn't touch any information about gangsters, and even has her own legitimate career. That is to say, as long as Jin Bing wants to find a few secretaries by his side, and his mother doesn't know, but Jin Bing still doesn't do that. Perhaps for Jin Binglai, Vanessa is his angel. Are you still laughing? How can you still make friends at school after this incident? I let you go to school to study. Is it because you are too precocious, my friend? Seeing that the firepower was transferred to him, Lee glanced directly at his father. But he saw Jin Bing was sitting at the side, blowing hot air on the tea he just handed to his mother, with a face that had nothing to do with him. What a fart. You have been serving this tea for more than 10 minutes just now, can it be hot? I have a friend, and I handed it in yesterday. Really? Definitely it's true, one is Peter Parker and the other is Gwen. Lee replied casually. Gwen Stacy. Jin frowned and looked at him. Well, Director George's daughter. Lee nodded. Interesting, son, you don't want to pick her up, do you? Come on, I'm optimistic about you. If you get her, your father will hand over the gang to you. At that time, you will be the emperor of the underground and the son of the police chief. Ha ha ha. Not interested. Lee rolled his eyes. Bugwan, don't be kidding, it's still the same sentence, the other party is an ordinary human being, unable to withstand his own impact. With such a wife, he was afraid of being played to death by himself. What are you not interested in? Son, you are not crooked, are you? Let me tell you that it is a good thing to fall in love early. Vanessa immediately became anxious when she heard him say that she was not interested. I'm only 14, Mom. Ai Li said helplessly. He can't get used to it. What's the matter at the age of 14? There are too many people falling in love different, and Ai Li is willing to bow down. I found a reason to slip away decisively. Ai Li is not worried about the family situation. These years, they have been soaking in the foundation, especially Jin Bing, whose hidden injuries have long since disappeared, and his physical strength has also improved a lot. After all, he is definitely the most powerful human being on Earth except himself. After all, the previous Jin Bin was no longer able to exist in a way that ordinary people could understand. The same is true for her mother, Vanessa. She used to be an ordinary person, but now she is definitely more than 1,000 caddies with one hand. It is also because of this that Vanessa knows how terrifying Ai Li's current power is when she does. Boom. The red eyes were covered by Ai Li, and the pace of walking on the street stopped. It's all right, Master. Karen, who was in charge of all his file sizes behind him, noticed something was wrong and hurried up to ask. But as soon as the words fell, the moment Karen met Ai Li's eyes, Karen was shocked and subconsciously took 2 steps behind. He had known for a long time that the young master was too powerful, and besides dealing with life matters, he couldn't intervene in other things like security. But today he realized that the young master surpassed the boss Jin Bin not only in strength, but also in aura. A look made him dare not make reflected in those red eyes, but it was not the same concern and inquiry as I am now. Instead, he was upset. Li looked away, and Karen relaxed with relief. She panted continuously, as if sucking all the air into her lungs to make up for the loss just now. I left your number, and that's why you did it. Ai Li turned around and suppressed the strangeness in his eyes, and asked casually. Isn't this trying to impress the young master? You are usually too low-key. Karen replied with an embarrassed smile. Chapter 15 Wingman Head. But there's no real punishment. The world in New York is not very peaceful recently. The Stark Group and the Osborne Group are facing each other. In the arms industry, you come and go. Although Stark said that he provided all the weapons to other legitimate national channels, it is unavoidable that there are still many of their weapons on the market. After all, that playboy Tony Stark knows nothing about the sale of the company. He is in charge of picking up girls and research and development, so he doesn't know how to operate it. It seems that it has nothing to do with gold, but the price of weapons on the market has dropped, and too many outflows have also caused many gangsters to update. Has also made the situation of the New York City Police Department's jurisdiction over gangs severe. The relationship between Jin Bin and George Stacy is like fire and water. Karen made some trouble this time, and it was a good intention to do bad things, so that Jin Bing made a little bit of money. At their level, attacking a flower group and killing or injuring as many policemen is simply home cooking. For George, the director, or Jin Bin, the boss, there would be no injury at all. On the contrary, face-to-face slaps like this are more refreshing. With this in mind, Ai Li didn't punish Karen too much, but still gave him an unhappy look, and said quite a lot. Seeing Ai Li walking forward, Karen caught up with him in 2 or 3 steps. Replied. Karen pondered for a while after hearing it, classmate band. Then I took out my little book and started to read. Peter Parker can't sing, Jason Tubin doesn't have a band. Gwen Stacy, daughter of Chief George Stacy, the Mary Jane's band, consisting of Mary Jane Watson, Betty Brant and Glory Grant. The young master wants to help Gwen Stacy, and the other party is the director's daughter. He wants to pick up the other party and then give director George a blow, and save face for Jin Bingbo. Karen felt that she had seen the truth, she was worthy of being the young master, if she didn't make a move, it would be amazing. But this was very important, and there was a stream of wisdom in his serious eyes. Then I called Vanessa and said, Ma'am, Ai Li wants to pursue girls in their class, and I need to approve a fund. Ai Li was walking on the road, but her mind was all on what was wrong just now. The sudden irritability was exactly this, so the problem appeared in the practice method. Then his first guess was about S cells. S cells are a unique cell type in the Saiyan body, and only Saiyans have them. Transformation into a Super Saiyan is just an opportunity. The most important factor is the S cells in their body. When the S cells in their body accumulate in the body. When this kind of S cells accumulates to a certain amount, it takes anger as an opportunity to make cells, but not many. For Ai Li, the existence of S cells is a result of cultivation. Using cultivation methods to upgrade his original cells into S cells, and thus further become a Saiyan. And now the side effects have also appeared, the violent nature of the S cells. Every Saiyan will have a bad temper, and will solve everything with violence. This is because the S cells will make the host subconsciously angry. And if you want to control S cells, you must transform this anger into your own power. Perfect control of S cells, coupled with certain combat power, suitable environment, calm state of mind, coupled with originally emotional anger, can transform into a Super Saiyan. You can't have this kind of state. You can't control your temper. What's the difference between that and a demon? No matter how powerful you are, but you can't control yourself, then what you become is not a Super Saiyan, but a demonized Nifeng. Ai Li is very aware of this, and has an existence that defies the sky, so there is no need to fall into the magic way for the sudden burst of power. As long as you give him time, he can become stronger. Suppression of S cells, this must be put on the agenda. Buddhism. Taoism. If the heart is as clear as ice, will the sky collapse? Ai Li subconsciously thought of these, then shook his head and continued walking towards the bar. These things have to go back and read a lot of content, so as to screen and purify, so as to realize new things. Comprehension is based on sufficient knowledge. Not having enough knowledge is bullshit. This is it, right? He looked up at the signboard of the bar, Broken Axe Bar. Master. Just standing still and not going in, the two security guards at the door straightened up and shouted when they saw Ai Lee. Only then did Ai Lee know that this bar was also his own business. After all, in Manhattan Island, almost all black industries have their own shares, and even Jin Bing's subordinates opened them. It's just that the other party knew him, which was a little surprising. Stepping into it at will, the melodious singing sound comes from your ears. On the stage, several ladies were singing. Ai Lee saw Gwen sitting a little to the side at first sight. She was in charge of the drum kit of the band. Ai Lee has always thought that girls who play drums have a lot of character. The other party obviously also noticed the existence of Ai Lee, and the two looked at each other and then smiled. Look around, but there is no sign of Peter Parker. It was an appointment, but it seems that Peter failed to escape his aunt's control and was grounded. Attention, now a special guest is coming to the bar. Tonight's consumption will be paid by Ai Lee Fisk. Cheers. Ai Lee's hand holding the cocktail froze, and the smile on his mouth stopped in astonishment. When I turned my head, I found that it was Karen who was cheering with a microphone. Cheers from the audience. Ooh, originally, some people wondered who was so arrogant. There are many rich people here, but when they heard Fisk's surname, they immediately put away their unhappiness and cheered one by one instead. When Gwen Stacy on stage saw Ai Lee's stiff expression, she immediately understood, and couldn't help but snicker. Chapter 16 Let Me Fly With You. Gwen. 6/10. Advertise here. So it was all done by your assistant? Gwen asked Ai Lee curiously. On the side, Gwen's two best friends also looked at Ai Lee very curiously. Although this man is young, he has a lot of gold. I didn't expect him to be like this. Ai Lee sighed helplessly. How should I put it? The mind of an adult is clearly possessed of great strength. But he made himself look like an arrogant and domineering rich second generation, pretending to be conspicuous everywhere, which is weird. It's good, at least Gwen seems to be interested in you. Betty Brant, the little girlfriend on the side, laughed. Betty. Gwen blushed when she heard this. Ai Lee is actually a handsome guy in their eyes. Everyone is a senior high school student of about the same age, but Ai Lee is about 1.85 meters tall, and she is not the kind of thin bamboo pole, which is a plus point. Coupled with three-dimensional facial features, handsome appearance, and a head of black hair is still very special here. While most Americans are face blind to Asians, few here are. Gwen has a good impression of Ai Lee. But it's just a good impression, not to the level of liking and love. The little girlfriend made such a fuss, which made Gwen feel a little embarrassed. But, sorry, it's just for a moment, because the character of the people here is very unrestrained, and they will show it straightforwardly if they have a good impression. So after being embarrassed, Gwen looked at Ai Lee again, trying to see from his face whether the other party had the same idea. But Ai Lee didn't show too much, just smiled. Because what he cares about now is another thing. This Gwen seems to be a little different from what I know. He has a more cheerful personality, is a drummer, and is also a member of the Mary Jane's band, which is different from what he saw in the movie. It turns out that the other Gwen is very similar to her. Spider-Woman Gwen. The ghost spider in the black and white pink hooded tights has band experience. Could it be that the Gwen in front of him is actually a ghost spider? If you take a closer look, it is true that the Gwen in front of you is much prettier than those heroine Gwen. The face shape, figure and skin are all top choices, as if they came out of the 3D animation area. The Spider-Gwen in my memory still tends to be a cartoon image, but the one in front of me is a real person. In this comparison, the other party is even more beautiful than what I saw on the E station. This time, Ai Lee became interested in each other. If it is just an ordinary person, Ai Lee will only become friends with each other, because it is impossible to develop to the follow-up level. I have said it several times, the other party's body is too much for ordinary people. But if Spider-Woman Gwen, then, I won't bother you. The little girlfriend saw that the atmosphere between Ai Lee and Gwen was a bit wrong, so she greeted them tactfully and left. Come on Ai Lee, our little lady Gwen is still a chick. Betty. Gwen was not deaf, how could she not hear? Ha ha ha. The three best friends laughed and ran away, leaving Gwen alone. Let's go, I'll take you back. Ai Lee raised his foot and walked towards the avenue outside, followed by Gwen. The atmosphere between the two of them is indeed a bit weird, like strangers who don't open their mouths, but they seem to be getting closer like familiar friends. The cheerful Gwen was much quieter at this time, and Ai Lee felt the atmosphere and felt that it was better to open the topic by herself. By the way, after going back yesterday, your father didn't make things difficult for you, did he? You still talk. It's okay not to mention this, but Gwen rolled his eyes when he mentioned this. She never thought that Ai Lee was Jin Bing's son, and she asked her father to come and protect Ai Lee. Isn't this cheating on your father? Sure enough, after returning, Dad George's face was darker than the gun on his waist, and he didn't say a word during the meal. Just before going to bed, I said something to keep myself away from the bastard Ai Lee. Hooligan. Ai Lee was taken aback, since when did he have this nickname? How do you make it up to me? Gwen asked. Compensation. This. Ai Lee was a little confused, what compensation is there for this? Compensation for what? Oh, in a car in the distance, several men in black heard Ai Lee's words in the earphones and slapped their thighs. The young master is not enlightened, it's time to start tuning the piano, and he still says that. After all, it's the first time, why don't we support it? Karen replied. Back up. You can only use this kind of thing for eavesdropping. You dare to go up. I'm afraid I'll be beaten to death by the young master. Then what to do? Let's do whatever you want. Young master, Karen, aren't you ready? I don't believe that there are women who don't like this. Another person gritted his teeth and said. Well, I knew that you guys are the most reliable. Karen nodded vigorously after hearing this. These are the only 3 in their group who have ever been married, and the rest of them are even bachelors. They must be right. Wrong. On Eileen's side, he was thinking about how he should make amends. Would you like to give it to Mercedes-Benz? Or get a Van Cleef and Arpels as a gift? Will it be too low-key? Do a supercar. Will she think that I am too materialistic and want to throw money at her? Forget it anyway. Immediately afterwards, Eileen's eyes lit up, and now Gwen is still an ordinary person, without strong energy in her body, so she was not bitten by a spider. That being the case, he must have no idea about supernatural power. Shall I send you to heaven? Eileen said. Gwen's face froze. God. God. Followed by a ruddy face. What can this guy say about tigers and wolves? Young master is awesome. As expected of the young master, you will go to heaven as soon as you open your mouth. It's too straightforward. Girls probably can't accept it, so be cool. Fart. Young master, this is called driving straight in. Karen looked at a few people with disdain, and they were married, that's all. I mean, take you to the sky. Seeing her appearance, Eileen thought she didn't understand, so she spoke again. What do you mean? Gwen felt that no matter how stupid Eileen was, he wouldn't say such a thing, and it was better to ask clearly. Are you afraid of heights? That's not true. Then don't worry about it, I'll show you to experience it for yourself. Eileen approached, and then directly supported Gwen with her hands, hugging Princess Gwen just like that. Subconsciously, Gwen put her arms around Eileen's neck, a little at a loss, why she hugged herself suddenly. Are you ready? What? Gwen was taken aback. Then, she saw a scene that subverted the world view, and she actually flew up. In Eileen's arms, the two rose directly from the spot. There is no flight device, no wire sling, just leap out of thin air, then hover in the air, and move forward at high speed in one direction. Chapter 17. Ancient One married, all get away, 7/10. Advertise here. Fly, fly, fly. Flying fart. What are you talking about? Karen was listening carefully to the voice in the earphones, and the only thing left was worrying. I wonder if the young master and this Gwen have developed to the next step. Hearing the disturbance from his companions around him, he couldn't help but get angry. No, the young master has flown, said the companion. At this moment, Karen looked up, and then saw Eileen holding Gwen in the air, and then flew into the sky. Everyone was stunned. My young master can fly. Can you fly? Gwen asked, staring at Eileen's chin in front of her, which is too exaggerated. How come there are still people who can fly? This is completely beyond the boundaries of ordinary people. Well, how about this compensation? Eileen smiled at her. Can you go faster? Gwen enjoyed the feeling of the wind blowing across her face, very happy. Flying is also suspended in the air in a sealed space, but now it is a complete experience. Then hurry up. After Eileen agreed, he accelerated again. Hurry up. Faster. Ha 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 ha. It can't go any faster. Eileen didn't continue to accelerate as Gwen said, not because he couldn't do it, but because he couldn't. The current speed is close to super high speed, and if it accelerates upwards, it will reach the speed of sound. Eileen's physical body is definitely fine, but Gwen is human, and her body is an ordinary person. If she accelerates any further, she is afraid that she will be directly torn into pieces by the centrifugal tearing force. I haven't mastered the power of the biological position yet, so I can't take you beyond this limit. Eileen is also studying this point, and his comprehension in this area has never stopped. Biological standpoint is a particularly powerful thing, not only to protect other people, but also to cover one's own power to other levels. If he can control the biological position, Eileen's strength may be able to climb up a level. Now, he can only use chi to cover his surroundings and block the passing hurricanes. But if it exceeds the speed of sound, the gas will not be able to stop Gwen. Okay then. Gwen didn't force it, it was very refreshing now. She wants to speed up just subconsciously wanting to challenge the stimulation. After some leaps, Eileen brought Gwen back to the ground. After going through this time, Gwen couldn't help holding Eileen's hand after landing, always thinking that only in this way can she feel that all this is not a dream. Eileen didn't refuse either, just casually walking along the street, chatting about many things that had nothing to do with him. Crack, clap, clap. When the two walked to the edge of Manhattan Island, everything on the beach was still a little scary under the cover of night. But suddenly, bursts of explosions sounded, breaking the tranquility. Around the beach, countless fireworks rose into the sky and exploded in the sky. The quality of these firework salutes is very high, and each explosion is extremely gorgeous, attracting the attention of many people who are still resting by the beach at this time. It's so beautiful. Gwen couldn't help staring blankly. Eileen was a little surprised, but he didn't care, and just paid attention to it for a while. It's true that I haven't seen firework for a long time. Foreign countries don't seem to care much about this thing, and I rarely see it released. It is a pity that he saw a lot in his previous life, but he rarely saw it when he grew up in his previous life. After all, the smoking ban made it necessary to go to a designated place to play firework, but he had no chance to go. On this occasion, the two each have their own nostalgia and appreciate this scene. Open black lens bracket I love you, Gwen close black lens bracket. Suddenly, the exploding firework actually formed a few words, which together are I love you Gwen. At this moment, Lee was stunned, and Gwen also stiffened in place. Subconsciously, Lee thought of a possibility in his mind, so his angry perception unfolded instantly. Sure enough, he saw Karen among the crowd who put firework on the beach. The other party, at the moment, was looking at this side with a telescope at the moment. Seeing that the two were very close, he hurriedly waved to his companions, telling them to speed up the ignition speed of firework. Your uncle really knows how to play. Lee has 10,000 things MMP wants to say. Looking at Gwen whose face is getting closer and closer to him, does talking now affect the atmosphere too much? Those who didn't refuse had to move forward. Soon, a superficial touch occurred between the two of them. Papa. There was applause. Lee thought it was Karen who came up, and immediately left Gwen's lips and turned around to scold. But seeing the person coming clearly, Lee's face became more serious. Congratulations, it's a happy marriage. The bald man looked at Lee and Gwen and smiled. The distance was only more than 1 meter, which was very close. Gwen blushed in embarrassment when someone who suddenly appeared said so. Seeing that the other party is wearing a light yellow monk's uniform, there are also Buddhist temples abroad. Although he is nothing compared to Christ, he has also heard the saying of ascetic monks. Grand Master, I'm not a master, you can call me Ancient One Magician. The visitor replied with a smile. Ancient One Magician. Gwen nodded, half understanding. Don't worry, I just want to bless you and find Lee by the way, can I borrow him for a while? Ancient One Magician smiled at Gwen. Okay. Gwen didn't know what it meant, but hearing the other party call Lee's name, she felt that she should know her. Looking at Lee strangely, how could Lee know a female monk? Ancient One Magician. Lee stared at the Ancient One in front of him, with some consideration. This guy's strength is not simple. Your girlfriend agrees, let's go talk. When Ancient One spoke, he waved his hand, and a golden halo surrounded him, opening a hole like a door. Then deliberately stepped into it first, walked to the other side and looked at Lee. This is. Gwen felt that she really must have seen a ghost today. What is this? Help me tell my subordinates that I'm fine, just go out for a while and don't worry. After Lee finished speaking, he followed through the portal. The golden halo disappeared, leaving only Gwen standing there, at a loss. Karen, who was observing all this from a distance, suddenly saw the young master disappear, and ran towards this side in panic. Several people directly took out pistols in their hands, loaded them directly and were ready to fire at any time. Chapter 18 Pua Master Ancient One, there is no Lee in the future timeline 8/10. Advertise here. In the end, Karen didn't know where Lee went. Gwen was also unclear, and could only explain that a female magician suddenly ran out and took away Lee, and also said that the other party opened a space door to leave. Karen was confused and expressed disbelief. But the fact is that, the previous flight of Lee also made Karen feel that it might be true. This matter was too serious, and he didn't dare to go back and report casually, so he could only pass the phone to Gwen. I see. Jin was silent for a long time, choosing to believe Gwen. I can't help it if I don't believe it, and Jin also remembered that Lee said something about this world, it seems that magician exists. It's better not to tell Vanessa, if he knows, he might overthrow New York. Jin didn't think it was better not to tell his wife about it. Her character seems very gentle, but when it comes to her family, Vanessa can turn into a tyrant. It is precisely because of this that Jin Bing and her became a family. Take home is the most important thing. ... A burst of sparks surrounds the portal, and the portal looks so unstable with this flickering. But the person who opened this portal is the Ancient One, so you can only trust her for its sturdiness. Lee was still a little worried when she shuttled. He was afraid that Ancient One would assassinate him, so he closed the portal the moment he stepped over, and he became two halves. No kidding, the big magician has done this before, and Bifrost can do the same. The cutting of space is too sharp to stop. In the antique bedroom, Lee stepped in, and saw a bald man in a beige robe standing there waiting for him. A gentle smile on her face seems harmless to humans and animals, but whoever says she is a good person, Lee and who are in a hurry. At this level of strength, good guys and bad guys can't be used to describe their personalities. Whether it is worth it or not is the keynote of survival. Hi Lee, it's a pleasure to meet guests from another space here. Ancient One said it was a bomb, and Lee was a little surprised by this sentence. But, again as expected, how could Ancient One, who has been observing the future, fail to discover that there is one more variable in this world? If there was an extraordinary person, she would naturally not pay attention. But there is one more person who is capable and may cause trouble in the future, she doesn't know that there is a problem. It's already very face-saving to say something other than, I am the maintainer of the earth, outsiders, your journey ends here. Hello Sorcerer Supreme. Lee was quite casual, and began to observe everything around him. The Ancient One Magician, now the Sorcerer Supreme on the earth, has lived for countless years, about 500 years old, and is mainly responsible for the earth not being invaded by Mephisto from other dimensions. The strength of the opponent is very strong, and it is likely that he has seen one of the four gods of the Marvel Universe forever, and also obtained the Eye of Agamotto from the opponent, and is the owner and user of Time Gem. The other party's information flashed in Lee's mind. These are all stored in his own memory kingdom, which can be retrieved as long as necessary. I have to say that she is the strongest person I have ever seen in this world so far. Threaten. Have. Big. But it's not that there is no chance of victory, the point is whether it is necessary to become an enemy with her. If I hadn't suddenly discovered that the future was a little bit wrong recently, I really didn't care about a variable that appeared on the Earth. It's normal for Ancient One to observe the future as an Asgardian on Earth, but she can't just stare at it all the time, and she will look at it every few years. This time she saw something different, especially an unknown figure appeared in the crowd. She couldn't see the identity of Ai Li, but there was an unexpected presence in each picture. It was as if someone knew she was watching the future, so they blocked their observations on the timeline. There is no way, Ancient One can only start to reverse the time for the sake of safety, and it took a long time to find Ai Li. So, she brought him here, and she wanted to see what kind of strength Ai Li has to do all of this. After contact, Ancient One discovered that Ai Li is indeed a different existence, with a strong physical body, strong mental power, broad knowledge, and even recognized himself at first sight. The outsider is her temptation, but Ai Li admits it casually. Do you not care about being discovered by yourself and have your own cards? Ancient One didn't want to cause trouble, especially if the other party didn't have any malice towards him, so he took the initiative to add an enemy. The ice and snow outside are still whistling, the opening of the window seems to isolate everything, and the warmth in the house makes people subconsciously relax. Being in the Himalayas, having such a warm house is already a very good thing. The two had already sat down. There were 2 cups of tea on the small tea table in front of them. The heat was rising. Ai Li picked it up and took a casual sip. To be honest, I haven't tasted such a bitter tea for a long time. The tea leaves in Jinbin are say that life is like tea, which is bitter first and then sweet. What do you think? Ancient One took a sip with a smile first and then sweet. In fact, the future will still be in bitterness, purely for fun. Ai Li doesn't know why I hated it. This kind of topic comes out of nowhere. Sure enough, the corner of the mouth of the Pua Master Ancient One twitched and fell silent. Ai Li looked at the tea in his cup and slowly filled it up after he finished drinking it and put it down, showing interest. This thing is a bit interesting. Magic is something he planned to learn before, but it is a pity that it takes too long to simply rely on the epiphany of ability. After all, he doesn't even have the basic knowledge of magic, so getting started is very troublesome. It's rare not from 100 to 1000, but from 0 to 1. Still can't see. Suddenly, Ancient One opened his eyes and stared at Ai Li when he spoke. Ai Li looked and found that Ancient One's hands were holding the floating eye of Agamotto, and the time gem was just placed there. Are you observing the past and the future? I still can't see you on the future timeline. Even though you are already standing in front of me, I still can't observe you. So, Ai Li looked at her, motioning to speak more clearly. Someone covered up your existence. Chapter 19. Under such items the future of any existence can be seen. Except for the 4 gods. But why can't I see Ai Li? To put it simply, Ancient One cannot see Ai Li in front of him. You will find that there is only Ancient One here, with a table and 2 cups, and there is no one on the opposite side, hasn't been able to enter the multi-universe level. This is the embodiment of difficulty. Can't you see me in the future? Ai Li looked at Ancient One in surprise, which was unexpected information. Ai Li himself asked. Ancient One raised his head and looked at him curiously, time administration. He actually that person observes it himself. If you leave this timeline, definitely, if you leave this timeline, and your stored light tracing is a black hole with a huge mass. Ai Li stroked his chin and followed the train of thought of Ancient One, and began to think about his current situation. He doesn't know how to do it, but this kind of thing can be deduced in the future. Because science can accept everything, if it cannot be explained, it means that the current science has not yet reached this threshold. Ai Li's understanding can be deduced, which means that his scientific explanation is on the rise. So, as long as there is enough mass or energy, light tracing can be distorted, and the future can be changed. Even the future can be covered up. Has my energy reached this level? If it can, it is myself who covers me, if not. Ai Li raised his head to look at the other party, his eyes met, and the corner of Ancient One's mouth twitched. If you can't, it may be that you in the future cover up the you in the present. Rubbing his temples, Ancient One was still thinking about Ai Li's words. The other party asked her to say this answer, and she blurted out naturally following his words, but she didn't understand the action. I don't think it's necessary for a busy Sorcerer Supreme to call me in for a chat. Sorcerer Supreme will not call him here casually, even if his strength may break through the current limit, or his existence threatens the earth. If necessary, Ancient One will choose to kill him, or cultivate him. But he will never be called here to make daily routines. This is the most meaningless approach. I want to ask you for a favor. Ancient One twitched, feeling that he really couldn't bear it anymore. How could it compare to arguing with a 100-year-old magician? The ensuing tug of war is the price Ancient One has to pay for his so-called help. You come and go. At this moment, the other party seems to be no longer the humble magician, but an ant selling vegetables on the street corner. I'm a member of the Cosmic Magician Federation. Telling the conditions that he needs to pay one by one, Ancient One time he won the benefits. Ancient One left, quietly. The magician who appeared in the next second was named Modu, and he was the big magician who assisted Ancient One here. Are you Ai Li? Sorcerer Supreme has told us about you, please follow me. Modu stretched out his hand as a guide, leading the way towards the room. Sorcerer Supreme seems to value you very much, your ability is very strong. Modu asked curiously. It is said that he introduced Ai Li, but in fact, he asked them to help him a lot, and showed that Ai Li had any questions, and they had to answer them. This kind of treatment is not like an intern magician joining here, but a guest here. Mordo thinks so. I don't know. Maybe. Just average. Eileen has never tried to learn magic, so she is not sure. By the way, are all the magic books in the library? Passing by the library, Eileen asked, pointing to it. Yes, you could this. Don't get me wrong, I mean it is open to every magician. Kamar Taj will not hide knowledge, anyone who needs it can go in and read it. Modu thought that Eileen had misunderstood that anyone could enter twice outside the door that I want to read your magician books, so it is definitely impossible to bring them in. Only when you enter the holy place can you see it. You mean, as long as I'm here, I can watch it? Eileen asked a little annoyed, so why is the condition I just negotiated with Ancient One necessary? This is all sounded, and then a green light flew out from the door and landed in Eileen's hand. Looking down, Eye of Agamotto sighed, Modu magician's eyes widened, so, give it. Chapter 20 The King's Confusion 10/10. Advertise here. This is your room. The holy place does not restrict personal freedom, but the premise is that you can leave by yourself. For clothes, you can use your own, or you can wear the clothes here. They are all standard monk clothes. When you go out from the laundry room, turn right at the end and wash it yourself. And this. Modu is still in a daze until now. The Eye of Agamotto thrown to Eileen by Ancient One magician is in the opponent's hand. This is something that represents the status of Sorcerer Supreme, and it was just handed over to a newcomer. Unbelievable. Modu even suspected that Ancient One wanted to train Eileen as an heir. How strong is the opponent's ability, and why? After explaining, he handed a note to Eileen, then turned and left. His back was full of vicissitudes when he left. Thinking about the position of Sorcerer Supreme for countless years, it seems to be gone. Open the note, there is a series of numbers and letters on it. Not surprisingly, this is the wireless network password, and the sound of the phone ding 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 after the information where you go. Close black lens bracket. Gwen, your father came to me just now, and I told him everything that happened. He doesn't seem to be that worried. Close black lens bracket. Also find the magician's message. Close black lens bracket. Number 1 underground thug in New York. Don't worry, if something happens to you, I'll take the whole gang to find a place for you. Close black lens bracket. Eileen looked at Dad's message and nodded. Sure enough, the note of the number 1 underground. Don't worry. Close black lens bracket. A message was copied and passed on to the two. Eileen rolled. The more he knew, the more dangerous he would be. Especially if Kim doesn't know some supernatural being that close, he's bound to have some small idea to try, and the cost could be huge. As for Ancient One, it was the name Eileen accidentally mentioned once, just saying that the other party is not a simple female magician and cannot be provoked. But did not expect. Even now that it is remembered, my father still cares about what he said. Eileen also left the room after getting rid of her worries. The focus of learning magic is the mastery. This is true understanding. So learning is the most important foundation, and the goal of Eileen is the library. The importance of the teacher is inevitable, but the other party will also have their own weaknesses that are uniquely understood. It is more appropriate to understand it yourself first, and then ask them where they don't understand. In the dark library, there is only the light of a candle in his place, combined with the reflection of the bald head. The first ones are basic magic books. You can read them, or you can ask me directly. Sorcerer Supreme has already told everyone here. My name is Wong, and I'm the administrator here. Hello, but looked at the collection of books. The front end is also the one closest to the door. There are some stacked books, which are neatly arranged and look nothing special. They are displayed in the same way as a normal library. The middle layer is special, each book is separated, and there is an introduction to the book below the book. The ones in the middle are written by the great magicians in the past. They contain their insights, as well as their own original ways of using magic. Wang's voice sounded. Eileen expressed his understanding and continued to look towards the last row. This row is even more special. Every book is suspended in the air and locked by chains, but it can be taken out as long as you go forward and disassemble it. It is not very difficult, and the form is greater than the practice. Those are some advanced magic books, which Sorcerer Supreme bought from great magicians or some strange existences in the universe. Each book has its own danger. The perfect NPC explanation is speaking beside you, just like a tour guide giving you instructions. The last book, Eileen saw the book alone on a table, but just glanced at it and didn't read any more. Turn around and go back to the first row, and then take a book. Summary of Magic Theory. He looked aside again, nodded, and took it down again. The origin and use of magic, history of magic for millions of years. Holding the 3 books in his hand, Eileen walked over to Wong and sat down directly, and opened the first book. Wong didn't bother him, but was a little surprised to see that Eileen ignored the last book and picked up the most basic book. When he came here for the first time, he couldn't resist reading that book, even none of the magicians in the entire holy place could resist. Because that book has an attractive magic power, but Eileen didn't respond at all. 2 possibilities. One is that Eileen doesn't have any magic ability at all, which is obviously unlikely. It is impossible for Sorcerer Supreme to find such a person here. The second is that the other party's perseverance and tenacity are beyond ordinary people, and his spirit will not be easily polluted. Read your book. Don't stare at me like that. Eileen didn't raise his head, but there were only him and Wong here, obviously speaking to Wong. Yes, Wong subconsciously replied, and then showed a strange face. Why do I feel that I am the new apprentice, and the other party is the teacher who is supervising me? Chapter 21 Comprehend Magic. This time he saw Wang, who was excited and jumped up on the spot. Excited, Wang finally mastered attitude energy of Emperor Weishan, and only tried with his original strength. One success, but the price is that the energy in the body is directly emptied. It is impossible to use it again without rest for 10 days and a half months. Landing on the ground, feeling a gaze, Wang turned his head in embarrassment and saw Ai Li looking at him. I understand, no need to explain. Seeing his forced expression, Ai Li knew that this guy was shy, so he opened his mouth and looked down at the book. No, I didn't, don't get me wrong. Denying Sanlian did not break the deadlock, and the embarrassed Wang could only retract his words. But this success made him so excited that he didn't want to return to his body, so he wandered around in the library. It was not until I felt that my mental strength was exhausted that I was reluctant to return to my seat. After return, and remember to close the door when you leave. Ai Li, who was immersed in the sea of books, responded. After the other party left, Ai Li was still studying magic. The power of magic is mental energy in the universe to improve oneself. Ai Li thinks about her current situation, looking for the power that suits her. Forget about the Mephistos at the Latitude. They are all cannibals. I really think there is no harm in trading with them. Unless you don't have enough energy, don't look for them. Which of the four gods is a bit difficult? Eternal energy is in the cosmic environment, such as teleportation and energy waves, but it will fail when it reaches outer latitudes. The strongest of my spiritual power is Qi. The source of Qi is the power of the spiritual body and the forging of S cells. Coupled with the current, casting Ra. In this way, isn't my Qi originally magic power? If there is no problem, casting magic is to increase my Qi, and S cells are also increasing Qi. The increase of Qi means that the magic power is improved. Casting magic forges magic power all the time. My magical power is also improving endlessly. Qi can be used as magic power to use magic, Qi can attach to the body to increase defense, and Qi can be shot out of the body as Qigong waves. Ai Li has found his own way, that is, his own magic power will become his own source. The environmental magic power brought by eternity to this universe, or the power lent by the Mephisto contract in the outer latitude, is not as good as his own power. Next, learn magic. After confirming these, Ai Li also started to really learn magic. Theory is one part and so is practice. Understand that the essence can indeed use magic power as one likes, but what the predecessors have created can definitely be very fulfilled. Learning is boring, but if you understand something while studying, you will feel refreshed. Here is an apprentice, a sect of teachers. However, there is no end to the road of learning. Although your ability, let's see the next magic. After Modu boasted, he still reminded him that he had seen some magicians with abilities bursting with self-confidence after being proud. Then no one will look down on someone who is not afraid of anything, like I am the best in the world. Eventually went astray. Ai Li's performance is good, but it's just a magic shield after all. Entry-level magic, it's not enough for me to praise him to the sky. The next words are magic weapons, which seems to be a common spell of Kamar Taj. So that's what I started learning. Ai Li said to him, and his hands began to change. When Modu saw him start to show the next magic, he wanted to remind. This magic shield has not been cancelled, you have to disperse this magic before casting the next one. Buzz. The golden magic shield changes in the hands of Ai Li. The whole face directly began to distort the shape, and then became completely slender. In the next moment, all the magic power of the magic shield was condensed into a spear, which was held by Ai Li. Grab the handle of the gun and stomp it down. The tail of the gun hit the ground directly, and a hole was punched out of the marble. Help but speak out in surprise. The apprentices who have been training behind, or the magicians who are not yet experienced also saw this scene. They all showed shock, thinking that they had seen a ghost. The proficiency of using magic mainly depends on their using speed, fluency, and the integrity of the magic after use. Doubt, a little autistic. You just changed your appearance. Modu asked in surprise. Want to borrow it, and after using it, you definitely have to borrow it again if you want to use other magic again. Used mana into the next mana. This does not conform to the agreement signed with Weishandi to use it. That's right, isn't this modeling magic or magic weapon just a change in magic power? Ai Li replied with a nod. Since it is a change in shape, why not just change the next one, why bother to put it away? Didn't you take off your pants and fart? Definitely, Ai Li also knows that this is because these magics use his own power, which is Qi. Use your own Qi as you want. Unlike many magicians whose power is borrowed, they have to borrow it once from the Latitude Mephisto like Visandi, and they have more restrictions. Yes, it is indeed this theory. It is very good that you can see through it. After listening to Ai Li's words, Modu felt that this guy is really a genius. But as a mentor, he can't be too surprised in front of so many students, otherwise how can he teach others in the future? Focusing on Ai Li's gun, Modu wanted to ask something. But considering the apprentices around him, he couldn't speak in the end. Now, you must take one step at a time. This is for you. The bronze-yellow ring was handed over to Ai Li, and Morden's expression was still a little dazed, as if he was thinking about something. After receiving the ring, Ai Li took a look at it and knew it was a holy place magic weapon. Sling Ring. Sling Ring is a magic weapon to help magicians use the portal, and other magic can also be used as a booster. We are not born with extremely powerful spiritual power like Sorcerer Supreme. So this thing can help us. You have to take care to protect him. After finishing speaking, Modu hesitated for a while and continued. Well, regarding the spells of basic magic weapons, you should also pay more attention to the effects of their characteristics. Modu looked away from the tail of the spear transformed by Ai Li, looking very concerned. I see. Thank you, Modu, magician. Ai Li nodded in understanding, picked up the sling ring, turned and walked towards his room. This thing is a bit interesting, you can study it. As for the magic characteristics that Modu just mentioned, he also understands the theory. Because that's what he spends most of his time studying at night. Magic properties are also characteristics when using magic. Chapter 24 Port should be a unique attribute. It's nonsense, how can it be called a characteristic if it is not unique? Ai Li looked at the spear in his hand, felt the chi flowing out of his body and condensed in front of him, and knew what Modu was talking about. The spear turned into a magic shield, and the golden shield didn't look very thick, but he knew that the defense power of this thing was amazing. It is no exaggeration to say that it is simple to directly block the next shell. Chi originally has a defensive effect. Ai Li has tried it before. I don't know what level the maximum level can reach. Thinking of the enemies he might face in the future, Ai Li wanted to give it a try. Can thermal missiles resist it? What if it's radiation? After the air is attached to the surface of the body, the bullets of ordinary pistols can't make a trace, and his body is like scratching the bullets with red ribbons. This is because of the defense of chi. The defense of the magic shield is powerful, with a sense of thickness, just like the solidity of the land. This is the characteristic. Then turn it into a long sword and pierce it out. The moment the sword tip touched the cabinet, it poked a hole directly, without any sound like stabbing tofu. This is the sharpness of magic weapons. And the sharpness of bows and arrows, the sharpness of fan tips. Modu should be a little surprised by what I just did. He wants me to go and find him to discuss. I want to know why my spear has two characteristics. Ai Li is not stupid, you still have your own understanding of your understanding and strength. Modu thought he was a magic apprentice who had just come into contact with the extraordinary world and knew nothing. So while encouraging myself, while suppressing my arrogance. At the same time, I want to know how Ai Li achieves that magic weapons have two characteristics, and it would be embarrassing not to ask them directly. So let yourself have time to find his magic spear is sharp and indestructible, and the end has a full sense of thickness, tearing the ground. This is the mastery of chi, that is, the manipulation of magic power. It's useless to tell him about subtle manipulation, because he can only rely on the other party to try it himself. Savvy is something that covers all aspects, not just one of them. Ai Li understands that when he started to learn magic, the effect of left-hand knife, right-hand sword. In the next second, the Miao Dao in the left hand instantly changed shapeshifting into a pistol. The sword in the right hand becomes a fan, similar to the one in Ancient One's hand. Tisk. Looking at the shape of the pistol, Ai Li smiled and pulled the trigger. The magic hit it and was blocked. Otherwise, this room is afraid that a hole will be broken, and even the houses behind it will be destroyed. Another way to use Qigong waves, but it's meaningless, it's better. Ai Li felt that, somewhat similar to Dongbo in Dragon Ball. It's better to be more straightforward. She retracted her fingers in satisfaction. Ai Li's eyes fell on the sling ring. Holy place magician, everyone has a magic weapon, this thing was developed by Ancient One. The purpose is to help ordinary magicians who cannot use their own power to contact the eternal environmental magic to open the portal. Auxiliary artifacts are very useful, but if free to open the portal. It also leads to a deepening of the sense of dependence, and finally the cognition of idealism is wrong. It becomes really impossible to use without sling ring. Magic artifact. Playing with the ring in the palm of his hand, Ai Li took out another magic weapon that he had now. Eye of Agamotto. These two are not at the same level, there is also a time gem inside. Ancient One is not afraid that I will ward. It should be like this. Ai Li remembers the origin and effect of these magic tools, which are recorded in a few of the tens of thousands of books in the library. Although the space is small, it is described. I don't know how many magicians will look at these huge unimportant knowledge. The magic weapon is also the magic house, same time communicates with the creator, transmitting magic power all the time. The Eye of Agamotto, the from Eternal God. Ai Li looked at the Eye of Agamotto, which is what Ancient One got from Eternal. And the floating cloak is collected from the trial of Visandi. The Book of Knowledge is a magic weapon obtained after passing the death trial. Ancient One is really amazing. I have seen two gods, and I have a latitude Mephisto like Visandi, and now I am competing with that guy Dormammu. It's no wonder that one of the strongest on Earth exists. Also, the existence of time gem can almost be said to be a rule, and it is better to deliberate later. Ai Li set his sights on the sling ring, and now the focus should be on this portal. Teleportation relies on the eternal magic of the environment. Sling ring makes it easier for users to connect with the magic of the environment, allowing people to reach the opposite side directly. Analyzing the existence of the portal, recalling the theory about the portal that I saw in the book. The magic of space is hard. But it's not impossible. Your research on portals has gradually deepened, and with the accumulation of countless theoretical knowledge, you have found the true meaning of portal magic. You have an epiphany. You are proficient in magic. Portal. Learn. This is simply not enough. Ai Li's goal is not to learn a simple portal magic. Chapter 25 Comprise to learn a portal. Ai Li's goal is not this. First, this magic needs to rely on the effect. It is obvious what the result is. If you encounter Mephisto in other latitudes, in the other dimension, this magic cannot be used at all. Continue to study. My portal can't be so simple. Ai Li gnawed at the book again, and the key points of space magic were constantly infiltrating in his mind. The most important thing is that he is also constantly using the portal to get in touch with the effect and experience of this magic. If Ai Li's movements froze, and then he thought of the magic power he used, that is, his own qi. What if I add the characteristics of qi to perception? Thinking of this, he couldn't stop his movements. The existence of qi is very special, even more special than the magic power of this universe. It is a very cool thing for him to be able to realize the use of qi, and now it can come in handy. Connecting the particularity of qi to the portal, Ai Li started trying again and again. Finally, after working hard for a long time, magic. Teleportation. Teleportation. Use air as a medium to perceive your own object, and use space magic to reach the other party in an instant. Close black lens bracket. It's finally done to realize this skill. It's a pity that he has no clue at all, even if his understanding is against the sky, he can't go from 0 to 1. It's as if you ask a person what is 1 plus 1, and the person who hasn't been to school but knows the answer tells you that 1 plus 1 equals 2. But if you ask him again why 1 plus 1 equals. But if you are looking for the answer and looking for a mathematical explanation, even if you have been to school or university, even a PhD cannot explain it to you. This is the difference between going from 0 to 1 and going from 1n. Ai Li's savvy is against the sky, but what he needs is an opportunity. Only by finding this opportunity can we unleash our endless comprehension, explore the truth, or reach the peak. The power of teleportation. Ai Li started to diffuse perception with qi, amplified his qi bit by bit, and started to explore. Teleportation is very powerful, he can go directly from one place to another. But there's position. So this trick can't go where no one is. And if the opponent's qi is too far away, or too weak to be sensed, it is impossible to go there. Ai Li's qi is the perception of the other party, and soon, his perception has reached the entire Himalayas, including it. Not enough, this distance is not my upper limit point. It is no exaggeration to say that it may have exceeded 30%. To be more specific, the S cells in his body have surpassed the number in ordinary Saiyans, and are almost the same as the legendary Super Saiyan. Hasn't been thick enough to reach the end of Dragon Ball, when a single induction directly covers the whole universe. But under the control of Ai Li, in an instant, his qi covered more than half of the earth. The exaggerated amount is maybe it is because my qi has not made a qualitative leap, so it is limited. Super Saiyan, instant. Super Race 1 is 50 times the normal amount, which is included in the Dragon Ball Encyclopedia. That's all, if Ai Li's current strength is directly increased by 50 times. The basic physical strength must be satisfied. Under normal circumstances, the stronger my strength is, the stronger the power is not as simple as 1%. It's still too weak, and the qi of many existences can hardly be felt, is much stronger than normal people. His qi, Ai Li quickly found and confirmed it. At the same time, he also saw several unusual beings, and their aura was also very strong. However, these existences seem to have sealed themselves somewhere, and did not mix in the crowd. No, there are a few who are quite powerful. Ai Li raised his brows, and took an angry perception of these special guys, which he didn't know before, and the qi in their bodies was quite strong. At least 10 golds and start. There are also some special qi in the city, their qi is different from that of the people on Earth, and it is quite strong. Crouching Tiger, Hin was taken aback suddenly. He seemed to feel someone standing behind him just now, but when he turned around, there was nothing there. Turning his head again, he saw Ai Li standing in front of him. Are you back? Jin didn't know how the other party did it, but as his own child, he didn't feel scared either. And without questioning, Ai Li would naturally not hide it from him if he wanted to say it. Not saying it makes sense. Pass by, Dad, work hard to start a career, and I'll surprise you when I'm done. After Ai Li finished speaking, she put her finger between her eyebrows. In the next moment, it disappeared again.